All right, and we're live. Welcome everyone to Infinite Galaxies: Empire of the Dying Sun. My name is Rory McLeod. I'm the game creator, developer, and this is a Gauntlet Hangout game. This is session 1 of 5, and we have with us Alejandro, Simon, Michael, and Ash, who are our players, and we will be doing some character creation and setting creation tonight, and hopefully have some time left over to do a couple of action scenes and get our story started. So because we're starting off, oh, and real quick, wanted to mention that we do have, if necessary, the sensitivity tools such as the X card if needed. Yeah, so I want to recommend everybody watching this to check out the Gauntlet, join the Gauntlet if you haven't done so already. And it's a good community and a great way to find players. So why don't we real quick, we've made some character decisions, and we're going to talk about how to build the character and all the stuff there. So let's talk about the basics. So why don't we start with Simon, since you're on my right. So we're going to start with you. The pictures, I'm just going to go that way. So Simon, tell us about what playbook you've chosen, and if your character has a name, go ahead and give us your name.
I still don't have a name for the character I chose, which is the combat robot. Still something that I'm still trying to get the an image and a personality attached to these stats.
Okay.
So it might not have been the best choice to start, but
well, that's okay. Just tell us about your tell us just in general about your character.
All right. I see that robot as probably being a line of robot that was designed to be bodyguards to nobles or high up people. While being efficient in combat, they are also maybe human looking, or at least human seemingly looking, to be like elegant and to fit in the upper class.
Okay. And so you're playing the robot, and does the robot have a name yet, or are you still working on that?
Working on that.
Okay. And you chose the combat package, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Okay. Okay. And we'll talk about what all that means. So basically, each playbook has a default move or set of moves, and then you pick a package of starting moves. So the characters are highly customizable because of that. So the combat package gives Simon some combat moves. He gets a railgun, and he gets some combat sort of moves that help him do that kind of stuff. So cool. Okay. And then we'll go into the abilities and stuff here in a minute. So I just want to get through kind of the initial stuff real quick with everybody.
All right.
So next will be Michael. Michael, tell us about your character.
Hello, I am playing Fabienne Beauchamp, the ace. She owns a ship, which is yet to be defined and named.
All right.
I think I'm going to have her be a academy cadet background. So
okay.
She comes from a life of privilege and training, and yeah, that's going to be why she's well, we'll see what we'll find.
And you chose the tech background, right, or the tech package, right?
That's right.
Okay, cool. Okay, and that basically allows you to mess with the ship, modify the ship, and fix the ship if needed. Right? Okay, cool. Okay, great. And let's move on to Ash. So Ash, you have chosen the leader. Why don't you tell us about your character?
So my character's name is Vector Main, and he's a noble who hails from a wealthy family or clan, yet to be determined based on the world that we design.
Yeah.
And he has picked the strategy package, and he is a bit of a cultural person who wants to figure out new information about groups and people and places and things like that.
So does he want to travel? Is that the idea?
Travel, negotiate, and so on. That's how I've sort of imagined the character.
Okay, cool. All right, and finally we have Alejandro. Tell us about your character.
I am playing Valeric. I don't have a last name yet, but he will have one. He's a scientist / engineer. He is academy trained. I have a picture of him. He has like a bandolier with all these like pockets on it.
Yeah.
And that's the special harness that he gets.
Okay.
He's academy trained, so he might know Fabian, or I don't know if Vector was in the academy or not, but I don't know, it's possible. But Valeric was or is like really just thinks about computers. I mean, like technology and building things. And his harness is like filled with like little robots that kind of fly out when he needs
Okay.
to, and they kind of function like cantrips, if you will. Like they can go and turn on the lights and move, levitate, things like that. Nothing mechanically serious. Just kind of like that's just like what he has, and he's just always working on something. He's always looking at that at like what he can learn, like what new technology he can learn and understand.
Okay.
And I also, hopefully, if this is cool with everybody, I'm in the process of building my companion. So when I level up, or I can get an advancement, I'll have a companion. The
Okay.
companion is going to be like an autonomous bodysuit that I'm going to then like add things to it. So.
Okay. It's like a little robot.
Like Iron Man, autonomous bodysuit, so you get into it, or?
Yeah. So you can get into it, or it can work independently. Yeah, kind of like Iron Man. I wasn't thinking about that, but yeah, kind of like Iron Man. But at first, it's just kind of going to be there to help me do my science, tech, engineering stuff.
Yeah, so the way that the companion playbook works, so there's a playbook called the companion, and it basically helps you do stuff. It doesn't do stuff on its own. It's not a full character, but it does help you with certain things that you try to do. So that's kind of mechanically how it works. But in the fiction, yeah, you're building it. That's cool. Nothing wrong with that. Makes sense. All right, cool. So, all right, and our robot has a name, looks like. Is Plex, is that right?
Plex, exactly.
All right, that sounds good. That sounds like a robot name. All right, cool. So everyone has names, so that's good. I'm just making some notes here. Okay, cool. So the next thing I want to do is we're just going to continue to build the characters. We're going to go through the abilities. So the abilities in Infinite Galaxies are the same as in like D&D or Dungeon World. So your Strength, Dex, Con, Int, Wisdom, Charisma. In Infinite Galaxies, they're just represented by a modifier. So the values are -1, 0, +1, +2, and +3. None of you will have +3s right off the bat, but eventually maybe you can. So in any event, there's an array of modifiers that everybody gets, and you can place them however you want. So you're going to have a -1, 2 zeros, 2 +1s, and a +2. It looks like most of you have plugged those in. Oh, and I did want to point out one thing about, so since we have the ace in the party, Michael's ace character also has a ship which has its own playbook with different abilities. So Michael will be kind of figuring that out as we talk here. If we have a chance, we'll go into some of the ship stuff, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time on that right now. So anyway, so let's talk about the ability choices, and we'll start back from the person that just talked, which was Alejandro. Let's kind of go back the other way here. And why don't we talk about like what your character's good at ability-wise?
So I looked at his stats. He's good at intelligence and wisdom. I gave him a +1 to dexterity because he can shoot a gun and he can handle himself. 0s in strength and con. And I gave him a -1 in charisma because I think he doesn't get people. He gets robots. Okay. And that's how I'm going to play him. So,
okay, cool.
The robot looks just like me.
I know. Well, that's weird. Well, that happens. He's your clone, a replicant. Yeah. Maybe we're playing in Blade Runner. He's a replicant.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. All right, so let's go back to Ash. So tell us about Vector's abilities.
So he is dexterity, has a little bit of strength and intelligence as well. He's weak in con. He's a noble, so he's been given everything, and he's out. I don't know what he's going to be doing exactly because the world we haven't designed yet. But
sure.
Yeah, so he's an elegant and refined individual. Yep.
All right. I have a visitor here. Well, there he is. All right. I have some cats that make him visit. All right. Cool. All right. So let's go to Michael. So tell us about the abilities for your ace.
Sure. Her best attribute is intelligence. Interesting enough, I see in the rules that the players or the pilot stats don't affect the ship's performance. It's all about the ship stats.
Correct.
So yeah, but I still gave +1 to dexterity along with constitution. Having been trained at the academy, I figure she's going to be in pretty good physical condition.
Okay.
Strength and charisma are average, and wisdom is the weakest attribute. I haven't quite figured out how that plays out yet, but
Okay.
I'll think of something.
So one thing, since you did bring that up, yeah. So there are moves related to the ship that use the ship's abilities rather than yours. There are advances that you can get that allow you to use your abilities in place of the ship's in certain cases. So, but the default is that you use the ship's abilities for stuff like shooting the guns and powering up the shields and avoiding bad stuff and sensors and stuff like that. So we'll go over all that once we do ship things. But yeah. Okay, cool. So let's finally we have Plex, the robot. Simon, tell us about your abilities.
My abilities allow me to be an excellent bodyguard. I have, as it seems, an upgraded defend move.
Sorry, real quick. I meant like your strength, dex, con, like what choices you
okay,
make there.
sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. That's okay.
All right, so I'm good at dex. So shooting, strength to be good in combat, and I also put +1 charisma. I see him like being able to navigate social situation as well as combat.
Okay.
And my weakness is intelligence.
Okay.
Which
it's funny
that
that
it's great for a robot and just like not stuck with a lot of useful things.
That's all right. It's funny. The highest charisma person in the party is the robot, the combat.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yes. You're the only one with a bonus in charisma, which is fine. It's just funny. All right.
Well,
cool.
I was going to have charisma, but then I swapped it for intelligence because all my rolls are key to it.
Yeah, no, that's fine. That's perfectly fine. And you can increase these too as we do advances. We'll talk about advancement here in a bit. Okay. So let's talk about some of these other things. Every one of you has a damage die. It should be stated in the playbook. So if you haven't plug that in here, go ahead and do that. So the damage die is used when you, obviously make an attack and do damage. The only time you will not use that damage die is if you're using the ship, which has its own damage die. So if you're shooting the guns on the ship, it has its own damage die. But otherwise, if you're shooting a gun, punching somebody, hitting them with a sword, whatever that stuff, you do the same amount of damage. It works just like in Dungeon World if you played that. Some equipment will modify how much damage you do. So if you have a laser pistol, it might add damage. So note that somewhere in your equipment or remember it or something. I wouldn't add it to the actual damage die area because there may be times when you're not using that weapon. So, all right, so that's the damage die. The armor will come from your equipment, and we'll talk about the equipment choices. So basically, you're going to have your character may have options to start with armor or not. So the robot automatically has 2 armor, so that's good. Vitality. So there should be a number on your sheet. It's some number plus your con. So it's typically 12 or 16, and then you add your con to that. So everyone's vitality is about the same range usually. The robot, I think, starts with a 16. I think the rest of you start with a 12. Pretty sure. I think the only other one that starts with 16 is the soldier and the Psi. I think everyone else has 12. So you guys should all have 12 plus your con. And then wounds are things that you'll mark during the game, so you don't start off with any unless you really want to. I mean, I'm willing to let you have some wounds if you. But this gives us an opportunity to talk about vitality and wounds. So this is a different system than you may have encountered before, although this system kind of comes from other games that I've played. So, the idea is when your character takes damage, it's going to come off of your vitality score. It's going to reduce that down eventually when it drops to 0. The next time you take damage, you mark a wound. So you don't mark any wounds until you've run out of vitality. So the vitality is kind of a buffer that is kind of temporary damage. When you mark wounds, there's a special move called Wounded that you have to roll, and it could result in you being knocked out or other bad things happening. So you really don't want to do that. Sometimes it's unavoidable, but you know, the only way your character will like die is if you've marked all of your wounds, and then you have to roll bad things. It's kind of structurally similar to what happens in Dungeon World with the Black Gate move, if you're familiar with that. Although my version is quite a bit different than that, but it's based on that. So so that's how vitality and wounds work. At the end of a scene, you get all your vitality back, unless you're the poor robot who has to be repaired. So it's good that we have some people in the party that can repair the robot, because he and the ship will both probably need it at some point. So any questions about that system? Okay, cool. If you're curious, the ship has something like vitality called hull. It works in the exact same way. It has things called critical, which are like wounds. So when it runs out of hull, it starts marking criticals, and there's a roll related to marking criticals that could cause it to crash and explode and stuff like that. So you really want to avoid that if you can. So, one thing you'll notice when we start doing ship stuff is that the ship works very similar to how a character works. The combat and other stuff you do with the ship is very similar to a character, and that's on purpose, so that it's easy to pick up, and it's also easy to interact between the two. Ship combat's is the same as people combat, which I think is pretty cool. So, all right, so let's go into the next part of this, which is we're going to talk about your character's moves. There's your character's specific moves. So obviously, in games typical to this, there's a set of basic moves that everybody has, and you guys have that, right? Yeah, it's in the playbook package. So the basic moves are things like fighting, which is hand-to-hand stuff, shooting, defy danger, which you find in like Dungeon World and stuff. There's analyze, which is one of those moves where you get to ask questions of the GM. Understand, which is like, oh, we encountered this weird new thing. What is it? You roll in and see if you know what that is. There's a negotiate move, which is basically like a charisma sort of a, okay, we're trying to get them to do something we want them to do sort of a move. So there's all those basic moves. So in addition to that, you have obviously the playbook moves, the things that your characters are good at. So we're going to start with that. All right. Oh, Ash, I noticed one thing on here that you have. You stuck your origin thing in the moves section, and that's fine if that's where you want it to go, but that's actually, your noble thing is actually an origin thing, which we're going to talk about a little bit later. Do I not have a spot for that? Maybe I don't, is the problem.
Yeah, I didn't see a spot, so
yeah, that's fine. That's fine. I just wanted to, okay.
It kind of works out like a move.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah, it's kind of like a mini move. So yeah, all right. So what I want to do is go through each person, tell us about your default move, and then we'll talk about what package you chose and then what moves you get as a result of that. So we'll go back from last person who talked, which was Simon. So Simon, tell us about your robot moves.
All right. So as a robot, I don't need to eat, sleep, or breathe. I am immune to poison, disease, and fatigue. Unfortunately, I cannot heal myself, so I need repairs. So I can gain vitality or wounds for any other reason than repairs. And I might be at social disadvantage from time to time, which I'm going to try to avoid that. Mm-hmm. I've took the combat package, which gave me an upgraded, as it seems, an upgraded defense move. I think there are better options to pick from. And some, if I show force, I can bear intimidate with strength. And I got a pretty cool gun, matter gun.
Yeah. Cool. Okay. Cool. All right. So let's move on to Michael. So Michael, and again, we'll go over your ship stuff once, probably at the end when we had a chance for you to do all that stuff. But let's talk about your ace.
Yeah, I appreciate that, because I'd like to wait and not pick the ship's package until I get a sense of what we're all going to plan on doing.
Perfectly cool. All right.
So as far as my character,
yep.
I do have the ship move. That's the one. That's the first move. Then there's reroute systems, which allows me to basically move power and basically shuffle the attributes around a little bit if I want to devote more power to one particular system at the expense of some other. Engineering 101. That's basically how I fix the ship. And I think those are that's Engineering 101 is part of the package.
Yep.
Okay, so that's Engineering 101. Tinker, I can actually add and enhance the ship for limited times. I think any enhancement lasts like for like a scene or something, unless making these modifications triggers a drive, and in which case that lasts for the whole session.
Yep.
And it's things like extra armor, more powerful weapons, that sort of thing. And finally, the right tool for the job. When I mark relevant specialized tools to repair or modify a piece of technology, add +1 forward, and I look forward to having that explained to me.
Okay. All right. So real quick, a couple things that he touched on there that I want to explain. So the modifiers in this game, temporary modifiers, are things either forward or ongoing. So forward, a bonus or minus forward means to the next time you do whatever the thing is it's referring to. For example, for you, it would be to the next time you roll to modify the ship, right? It could be combat related. It may not be. It's +1 to the next time something happens. An ongoing bonus is one that continues until there's some condition inherent in wherever you got it from. So a move might say +1 ongoing until you miss, or +1 ongoing until you take damage, or whatever. So it's just basically, so that one is saying when you mark a use of that tool, you get a +1 to the roll. So basically what you can say is if you need a +1 to repair or modify something, you can mark a use of your tools to get a +1. So some items in the game have uses associated with them. And so some of them you can choose to mark uses of it. You're saying, I'm using this item and I'm going to mark a use of it. Other times you'll have moves that will direct you to mark a use of something. For example, guns have uses that are called ammo or recharge. And when you shoot your gun, one of the options may be, like a partial success, maybe you'll have to mark your ammo. And we'll go over when that happens. But so there's uses associated with items. They are not, like, you don't permanently run out of them. There's a restock special move, which we'll go into if we need to. But basically, when you're in a city or a large spaceship or a space station or something, you basically get back all of those uses of items. The only stuff you don't get back is if it has the consumable tag. There's not a ton of those in the game, but consumable tags are just gone as soon as you use them. So anyway, so that's how that stuff works. The drives and relationships that he mentioned earlier, we're going to go into in a bit, but that's related to the advancement system and the experience system. So we'll talk about that in a bit. So, all right, cool.
Can I ask a question real quick?
Yes.
Yeah. So if it's uses, how do you replenish the uses?
So yeah, so I just mentioned that. So there's a restock move. It's a special move, and anytime you're in a city, a settlement of some kind, a capital, like a big spaceship or a space station, it's assumed that you automatically go and restock that stuff. So you get more ammo, you get more uses of your tools, whatever it is, it just kind of happens in the background. So as long as you spend some period of time there, you restock all those things.
Okay, so we have a starship. It would never be restocked on the ship?
Not on that size of a ship. So the ship I'm talking about is like a big ship, like a big cruiser or a battleship or some huge thing. Like your ship has some stuff on it, but it's not going to automatically restock all of your items. So it's also possible to find items. Like while you're running around doing stuff, you may find uses of items that are cool. You could be like, let's say you're out of all your tools and you guys run across some a storage room in somewhere, and you're like, hey, would it be possible for me to get a use of tools out of all this junk? Probably. So anyway, all right, cool. Let's any other questions about any of that stuff? All right, let's move on to Vector. So Vector, tell us about your leader stuff.
So I can issue orders. I get 3 reserve, and they can give an ally +1 to any roll result. And that happens after the roll or before the roll?
Correct. Yes, so this is important. So a couple things there. Number one, reserve is a concept kind of like hold or what other games call it. But basically, they're temporary resources. Usually at a physical table, I'll use tokens to represent it. But basically, he has a number of uses of this thing, and then he gets them back.
Each
Um,
session.
yeah. So basically, yeah. So the important thing about his move is he can add after the roll. So all the other stuff during the game, like if you're helping somebody or if you're getting a modifier, it's before the roll result is known. So he can say, "Oh, you got a 6. That's bad. Boom. Here's +1. Now it's a 7."
And
So
I can do this because I have plan of action, even when you're unable to see or hear me, due to distance and other factors. So
right.
how does that work exactly?
Well, normally you have to be kind of in the same, like you're basically physically talking to them and stuff. So plan of action allows you to do it like, let's say you guys are in different ships, or you're separated from each other for some reason.
So it's sort of like a mental connection with my allies?
The concept is that you guys have planned ahead for whatever it is they're trying to do.
Okay,
and
sure.
So the bonus is kind of like, oh, I'm so smart with my plan that,
When we get into that situation, always,
if this ever happens,
always hit the left arm because the right arm is blah, 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 something. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so that's how that works. So yeah, so let's go into your, so you got your plan, you got your issue orders, and then you also have, so
I have a reserve benefit, which means that I get a benefit when I have any reserve just sitting around doing nothing, and I can assign that to armor or to damage, my armor, or if I heal somebody, I can gain back some of my vitality.
Yeah, so that's why you still have reserve remaining. When you run out, that benefit goes away until you get more reserve back. So, and there's multiple ways you can get reserve back.
Yes, there's a way to get reserve back by rolling int.
Yep.
So,
also, when you guys complete a milestone, you get it all back, I believe, which we'll talk about milestones.
Okay.
Pretty sure that's right. Is that not right? I don't see that on here. Oh, yeah, there it is. Okay. Cool. Okay, and what other abilities do?
So I can spend a reserve for a strategic plan, and I get to roll for that, and it can add +1 ongoing to a specific move based on what that plan might be. So as we're going into an operation, maybe I would roll this, and perhaps we would get a bonus to achieving some goal in that situation.
Yep. Like for a great example is, let's say that you're about to go into a battle, and you know it's might be kind of dicey. You might want to give everybody a bonus to defy danger. That might be handy, something like that. So, but whatever makes sense at the time. If you guys are trying to sneak, maybe it's something else.
And then I have another one where I can. I'm not sure exactly. So I can demand something that usually costs 1. Oh, I can just get stuff from people if I roll intelligence.
Yeah.
And
This you requisition
1 credit or less. Yeah.
Yeah, you requisition items.
Thank you.
Oh.
And then I have noble, which says when you spend credit, because of a move result, which I didn't know which move that was that would key that, you would add +1 forward.
Oh, so that would be, so some of the moves will direct you to spend a credit for something.
Okay.
So you're just, I don't know if you have any right now that do. I don't see any.
So requisition order says partial success, you can get the item, but you must trade 1 barter or perform a service. So is 1 barter equivalent to 1 credit?
Yeah, sure. We'll say if that comes up, sure, you can.
Or if I get a partial success, I would add +1 forward to what?
It would be. It would be the next thing related to whatever it is you're trying to do. So this is situational, so it's kind of hard to say. I mean,
right.
Have to,
depending on the situation and
yeah, it'll be to something related to what you just did. So, for example, let's say that you decide that you need to bribe this guard to get past them. Then, like, if there was another move related to sneaking into this place or whatever it is you're doing, you'd have +1 to that.
Okay.
That makes sense. So it's just it's going to really be situational. So. Yeah. All right, and the thing that Ash mentioned was his origin benefit. So you guys also all have that, which is in your characters. So they'll come up from time to time. for example, Valeric. Well, we haven't done Alejandro's yet, so let's do that. Alejandro, why don't you tell us about Valeric?
Yes. So Valeric has is academy trained as his background. So when a move calls for you to attract unwanted attention or to be put in danger, you may mark a use of relevant specialized tools instead. I can create devices that modify. I can modify an existing device or something like that. I can repair things, ship hulls. It says vitality, but that's if you're a medic, so I'm not choosing the medic route. So, and I'm a master of machines. When I create a device that repairs, modifies, enhances, or replaces a machine, robot, or network, you may change one of the GM's requirements to mark all remaining uses of relevant specialized tools. I'm not sure what that means.
So when you, all right, so let me explain how create device works. So what will happen is you'll say, oh, I want to make this device that does whatever. Like, let's say I want to make an invisibility field for everybody so we're all invisible. Cool. So I will give you some requirements based on this list here. These are the things that you have to do to make this device. So what Master Machine says is that you can replace one of my requirements with the one there, which is mark all uses of your tools. So if you don't want my requirements, like I said, oh yeah, you can do that, but it's going to take a day. You're like, well, we don't have a friggin' day. So instead of that, we're going to take mark all my tools. That's what that means. So
okay, perfect. Okay. And then I have a utility belt, which is my bandolier thing, that allows me to carry have an extra a +4 to my load, and it's all filled with, as I said before, like little robots that help me do whatever it is that I'm doing, and I can't lose it. Or I can lose it. If I do lose it, it'll get replaced. Yep.
So real quick, yeah. So load is like the maximum amount of weight that your character can carry before you have a problem. So his item gives him a bonus to that. So you guys should all calculate that. It's just some number plus your strength. Should be on your character sheet somewhere. Okay. So I think that is everybody's moves. So I want to jump down to gear next. Robot doesn't have, robot just has a gun, so we don't really need to go over your gear. I just want to mention that the robot doesn't start with any gear. You have armor from being a robot, which is pretty cool. People can get you gear. People that have money can choose to buy gear for you, or you may acquire gear during the game. But otherwise, we're going to skip this part for you. So I want to go back to Michael for the ace. Have you chosen your gear stuff yet?
Not yet. So
okay, let's take a look at that
now. Notice 6. And let's see, I can start with one of the following.
Okay, yeah, everybody, real quick, just to set, so everyone has a set of gear that you get by default, and then you have a number of picks from a list. So what stuff do you start with?
I start with the ship, a laser pistol, utility belt, and 2 credits.
Okay, cool. And credit is just money. It's an abstract of the money system. All right, so what are your options here?
My options, I can get an extra credit. I can get another laser pistol, military uniform. I might have to go for that. A repair module, a scanning module, space rations, specialized tools. I should probably do that too. Or a synth leather vest, which I'm sure is very snazzy.
It's armor too.
It's armor, yeah.
Yeah. So real quick, the repair module is something you can use to fix the ship or the robot. So it might be handy to have one of those. Just we don't have to roll. They just get vitality or a hull back. So
that was the specialized tools, right?
No, that's the repair module.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, the specialized tools is something you may also want. Yeah, I think one of your moves makes you mark those. So specialized tools in the game are robot, starship, hacking, and demolition. I think those are the 4 that are in the game.
Okay, maybe I'll do that in the repair module, and I'll forego the military uniform.
Okay. Yeah, so moves will refer to those. There may also be a time where you get a partial success on something where I may have you mark a use of something if it makes sense. Another real common item that I think a lot of you may have is something called a utility belt. And that's basically just like if you imagine like Luke Skywalker in A New Hope, where he's got the belt with all the different stuff on it, or like Batman or something. So you have a number of items in your utility belt. Typically,
I got a lightsaber.
Well, you get to define what they are. So, for example, if you need a grappling hook, or if you need a container, or you need something, you can mark the use of it and say that you have it. It just has to be something that's legitimately could be in a belt. So you can't have like an anchor, or something that wouldn't be in your belt. So if you can argue that it would be in a utility belt in the spacey future stuff, that's fine too. Miniaturized, something. Real quick, also, let's assume that you guys have things like communicators and stuff to talk to each other. So we're not going to worry about that sort of thing. We'll just say you have that. So cool. All right. So let's go on to Ash. So Ash, tell us about your choices.
So I've got a laser pistol and a synth leather hauberk, which is 1 armor, a utility belt, like you just described, and I've got space rations. 3 uses and 3 credit.
Yep.
And pretty simple. There we
go. Cool. All right. And space rations are another multi-use item that works just like anything else. There's moves that will direct you to mark space rations. Usually it's when you're exploring over land and stuff like that, and you camp out, you'll have to mark a use of that. Or if you're in some situation where you can't get food. Okay. And then Alejandro, let's talk about Valoric's gear.
Okay. Valoric has he has a laser pistol. He has specialized robot tools, specialized starship tools, a utility belt that is a special move, but apparently other people have utility belts too. What is a scanning module? Because I picked the scanning module over the repair module.
So the scanning module, I always have to look this up. I don't know why. It's a thing that lets you, it gives you a bonus to the understand move in certain situations. I think it's when you're asking questions about an environment, but let me verify that real quick. It's in my equipment list here. Let's see. Scanning module, yeah, +1/4 to understand an environment. So let's say you're in some new planet or something, or some weird situation where maybe there's gas, or there's some kind of something dangerous in the environment. It would give you a +1 to do that. So you basically it has 3 uses. You just mark a use of it and give yourself a +1 to that roll.
Okay. So repair module. So scanning module has 3 uses, but repair module is consumable.
Right.
It can only be used once.
Right. That's correct.
Okay. I think my character would probably have a repair module rather than a scanning module.
That's fine. Yeah, that's certainly reasonable given your GURP makeup. I mean, you've got a ship and a robot that both need to get fixed. So.
Yeah.
And you have a repair move. So basically what the repair module does is you don't even have to roll. You just give them some vitality back and they're good.
Okay.
So you don't always want to roll. Sometimes you don't want to roll because bad things can happen when you roll. All right, cool. Okay.
Oh, and I have 2 credit and 1 barter.
Okay, cool. All right, and barter, Alejandro asked me about this in the email. I just want to make sure everyone knows. So barter is basically like some kind of goods that you can trade for goods or services. So it works kind of like credit, but it's not automatic, like I just buy the thing. When you use barter in the game, if it's something that matters, right, there's a role related to using the barter. So if you're trying to barter for, like, you're trying to get yourself out of danger, or you're trying to get an important item or something, you may have to roll to use the barter. Otherwise, you just kind of use it like credit. But
should that be something that we define in the universe when we come up with our, like, it could be the spice in Dune, or
barter is typically an abstract thing that you don't have to define. If you want to define it, or if you get it from a situation where so for example, right now it's just something that he started with, so it could be really anything that's valuable, right? But if you guys like scavenge a spaceship and get barter out of it, you can say, oh, we have spaceship parts. I mean, that's fine. It's not going to really affect how it's used, other than just in the fiction. but it's assumed that whatever it is valuable enough to people that you could trade it for stuff. So it could be anything. So, all right. Okay, so that's all the gear and everything. So I think we're pretty good on the character stuff. The last bit I wanted to go into, which is going to involve drives and relationships, is the advancement system. So I want to talk about that because this is a bit different than the typical PBTA games. So Infinite Galaxies does not use the fail for XP or flagging abilities sort of thing that you find in a lot of these games. So instead, the experience that you get comes from 3 places. Typically is going to be from triggering drives, triggering relationships, and milestones. So let's talk about what that means. So your character has a number of relationships. You're going to have, so you'll see on the character sheet, you'll notice that there's 6 of them. Each of your characters has 6 relationships. They have little blanks in them. And so what you're going to do is you're going to fill in the name of one of the other characters in each of those. So since we've got 4 players, you're going to mark 3 of those. You're going to fill in 3 of those. So you're going to have, for example, Vector would have 1 for Valeric, 1 for Plex, and 1 for Fabian. And so, so we'll talk about those in a second, but I just want to explain what they are. So during the game, you want to do those things, whatever it says in the relationship. So when you do that thing, you get experience for doing that. That's what's called triggering a relationship. So you trigger it, the terms of the relationship.
Did everybody freeze or just me?
Just you, I think. Are you good? Oh, he just disappeared. Well, okay. Well, we'll keep explaining just for, oh, he's back. Okay. You're back?
Yeah, you were.
Yeah, I got to turn you back up again. Hold on. Every time you do that, I got to return you up. Okay. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah. Yeah, yeah. So, what's that?
No, I'm not getting him.
Oh my gosh. Okay.
So it worked when I left and then came back.
You want to try that again?
Or let's see.
You didn't miss anything, Alejandro. I'm just gonna wait for him to come back.
Okay.
All right.
Ash, can you hear me?
Okay.
Cool. All right. Okay. So as I was saying, in relationships, so the relationship is inherently involves 2 characters. So you've got your character, obviously, and then one other person. So when you do that thing in the game, you get experience for doing so. Typically once per scene, but it may be possible to get it more than once per scene. And when we start playing, we will periodically stop and make sure that you guys have given yourself XP for, you know, situations where you would have gotten XP for it. You know, you'll see kind of how that works. But eventually, I'll entrust you guys to be giving yourself XP when you should have XP for stuff. So, so that as I mentioned, the 3 places you get XP from are relationships, your drives, and your milestones. So drives. These are things that are kind of like mini goals or things that your character wants to do. They don't necessarily involve another character. And so at any time, you're going to have 2 drives active or marked. And you're actually not going to mark them right now. So anybody who's marked them, you can unmark them. So during the course of the game, I'll introduce this thing called a milestone. And the milestone is a thing that you guys are trying to do. So it might be rescue the princess, or you know, investigate this mysterious ruin, or you know, get the golden idol, or whatever it is. It's a thing you guys are all trying to do, and it's not for the whole adventure. Typically, in a session, in a full-length regular session, you'll have 2 or 3 milestones. So it's not always a huge, big, you know, thing, but it's a goal that you guys have. So when I introduce the milestone, you're going to pick 2 of your drives that are hopefully related in some way to that, actions that you think that your character will undertake in the course of trying to complete that goal. So they're going to vary a lot. So you don't want to pick them yet because you guys don't know what you're going to be doing. So once I introduce the milestone, then you guys can go ahead and activate, choose whichever ones you want to be active. And they'll remain active until that milestone is resolved, or in some cases, you might have more than 1 milestone active at a time, in which case you can change it at that time. So basically, whenever there's a new one, you can change them. Otherwise, they stay the same. That makes sense? So in the same vein as relationships, when you trigger that stuff, you get experience for that. And also, when the milestone is resolved, if you resolved it favorably, in other words, you were successful, you'll also get XP for the milestone itself. So in my experience running this game, you'll get about enough experience to get 1.5 advances on average per session. So you're going to get quite a few advances during the course of this game. So so that's oh, and 9 XP gets you an advance. So you're on the character sheets, there's like a tracker. Do I have a thing on here for XP?
Yeah.
Okay. Where did I put it? I didn't see it.
It's right under relationships.
Okay.
Not on this tracker here.
Oh yeah, that's what I meant on the tracker here. Yeah.
On the character sheet.
Yeah, no, I know it's on there. I meant on the online thing. If you guys want to put it somewhere, maybe between your abilities and the moves. I don't know why I don't have it on here. Yeah, maybe like, yeah, like somewhere where it's, I just want to keep track of it for everybody, that's all. Yeah, just keep track of it there. That's weird. I wonder why I didn't have that on there. I've used this before. I don't know what happened to it. All right, cool. It's like somebody made some spaces for us. Okay, so anyway, once you get 9 XP, you can get an advance. You'll notice there's a ton of advances on the second page of your characters. There are things like you can increase your abilities, you can get more vitality, you can, there's all kinds of stuff. There's stuff related to your playbook moves. You can pick advances from other playbooks.
Get minions.
What's that? Yeah, you can get minions. Yeah. So one thing that you may notice once you've taken a look at this is that the advances are unique to the playbook. So one playbook that has, for example, the scientist has a move called Cyborg, an advancement where they can get like a cybernetic like replacement parts and stuff like that. Other playbooks can get that if they really want to, but they have to take it from the scientist playbook. So the cyborg move doesn't exist on any of their playbooks. So I made them unique, but you can take up to 3 moves from another playbook. So it's not like you can't get that stuff. It's just, you know, you're limited on how many you can have. So some advances do have prerequisites. They're always some other move. So there's a couple of kind of chains of moves where you kind of have to start with the first one, then get the kind of the upgraded version or add on or whatever it is. There's very few of them in the game, but there are a few. So let me know if you run into any of those and there's any question about how it works. Typically the wording will say either it'll say the prerequisite specifically in the name, or it'll say when you some move name, right? So that implies you have to have that move first. So oh, the other thing you can do with advances is enhance a basic move or special move. So you'll notice that some of the moves, if you take a look at the move sheet, they have a little box where it says enhanced. So the enhanced versions are 12+ results. So those are normally not available to you unless you've unlocked it somehow. So if there's a basic move that you do a lot, like shooting or fighting or analyze or something, and you want to get the 12+ unlocked, you can unlock that one in advance. So, all right. So that is all of the character creation stuff. And Michael, you're still working on the ship? Okay. Does anyone have any general questions about anything we've gone over so far?
Oh, I've got the set stat. I've picked the size. I guess I still have to. I want to. I just want to see. Like I said before, I think I still want to wait to select the package based on what we think. You know, our adventuring. You know,
okay.
Our adventuring stick will be.
Well, let me make some general observations about the group so far. So you've got an engineer, a robot, a techie ace, and a leader. So you guys are not super combat heavy. I see you're kind of on the average side in combat, but you have a lot of technical people. So I feel like you guys could do like sciencey missions, or I mean, there's all kinds of stuff you guys could do. You guys don't scream smuggler to me. Like that's one of the packages the ship can have is like a smuggler package.
Yeah, would it be helpful if I just went over all the packages?
Yeah, let's do that.
So we could pick astrodynamics, which is basically what lets us fly fast and fly sneaky. Combat, weapons and shields. Science, that's all kinds of sensory stuff. And then the aforementioned smuggling. So those are our 4 choices.
They all sound good to me. So I'll probably be no help here. I can go either way with any of those. So.
You kind of roboted out for me. Can you repeat them again?
Oh, sure. Astrodynamics, which is basically flying fast and flying sneaky. There's combat, which is pretty self-explanatory. Science, which gives you all kinds of sensory abilities. And then smuggling, which is basically, sneaky compartments and stuff like that. Do we think we'd be an overtly scientific type of group?
Well, what kind of a mission will that be? What would we do with the science? I guess that's really the question.
Right.
That's a very good question, actually, because that kind of gets into what you guys are going to be doing and really about the setting itself. I mean, typically what I've seen is like exploration stuff. Like, oh, there's this new star system that we just discovered and no one knows anything about it. Let's go there and see what's up. Like that could be a science mission. Or
basically it lets us we get probes that we can deploy and we can scan for life forms. We get an improved sensor array. I see Simon's voted for Astro or Science. I feel like first of all, are we on agreement that probably not smuggling? Is that a fair assumption? I'm seeing some nods there. So, I think I would agree with Simon in that either astrodynamics or science would be the way to go. I don't know, flying fast always seems like a good idea. Maybe since we have a leader, what kind of ship would a leader, who is from the Noble Born, if I remember correctly, Ash, what kind of ship would a leader want?
Well, Vector would definitely want a fast ship. And if we are going to be exploring, lots of sensors would also be very useful. So,
so I mean, we could even, if we went for science, let me look at my ace abilities again, because I wonder if I might be able to. I could always, let's see.
I think it would be a lot easier to figure this out if we knew if we had some setting to draw upon, and then we could really latch in and say, obviously, we want that one, So maybe we can answer some of those questions first and then come back to this. Would that be okay?
Yeah, we can do that. So what the way I wanted to try to at least start the conversation off with that is to ask some questions about your characters. I also have some more setting related questions that I want to ask later. So what I want to do is start off with, so we did talk about the name of this setting. So it's the Empire of the Dying Sun. And we talked about the implications of that name. And that might be a good place to start. So we've got an empire. Empire implies we have more than one star system, although maybe not, I don't know. But probably more than one star system. In a typical sci-fi setting, an empire would be a lot of star systems. And a dying sun could just be symbolic, like it could be just the name of it, or it could be that the core system, which Alejandro mentioned, the core system has a problem with its star getting ready to explode, which could be a problem that somebody has to deal with. So that might be an option. So what do you guys think about the name? Like, what does that evoke to you about the setting, if anything?
The name, the floating city, or the Empire of the Dying Sun?
Empire of the Dying Sun, yeah.
Ah, great. Well, an empire in decline, certainly.
Yeah, certainly an empire in decline. But it could be, maybe it's only one solar system, like in Firefly, and it's one star, and they have to try to figure out how to escape the system because it's been around for so long that they are trying to flee this system to expand outside the solar system.
Okay.
Another solar system. I don't know. That's an idea. Or maybe there's multiple solar systems. They still have to expand. Either way.
It could be something really dreadful, like they are in several systems, but all of those systems have dying stars.
Oh, like every.
Let's
almost
move
like
here.
some
Wait,
cosmic,
we can't because that one's also getting ready to blow up. Or we discovered a black hole in the system, so that's not a good option.
That does open up a very intriguing thing, like what the mystery is and why are all these suns like simultaneously going
that is
over.
interesting.
I mean,
do you guys like that idea? That's something we could explore.
I think it would be intriguing.
You know, that might actually fit in a little bit with the science idea for the ship. Maybe you are being sent to go find out what's going on.
So I'm hearing science package.
Based on that, I mean, I don't want to stop the discussion there, but I do like. I kind of that's interesting. So we have So we've got multiple star systems. Probably not a ton. I mean, it sounds like maybe 2 or 3 or 4 maybe, and then they all have some kind of issue. Either a star that's getting ready to nova, or maybe a black hole, or maybe both. And we can talk about what those are. So we'll say there's like a core star system that definitely has this problem. And then there's adjacent star systems that are also having similar issues. Does that sound good?
Yeah.
Cool. Okay. And there's a mystery about why. Like all these star systems, typically you wouldn't have them all going nova at the same time. So is something causing this? You know, so we can talk about that. Okay, cool.
Yeah, and also just to keep our options open, we don't necessarily know they're dying for like natural causes. We may not be a supernova. It could be
something could be causing it. So another thing I wanted to ask about is the population of these star systems. So the default assumption in this game is that the characters are human unless otherwise noted. There's no benefit or hindrance necessarily for being a non-human, but there are origins. If you look at the origin options, everyone except the robot has the option to be an alien if you want to. You do not have to pick that option to be an alien. You can just say, I'm an alien, and that's fine. If you decide you want to be a non-human, you can. But I guess I should ask about that. So is this a majority human population, this empire?
Based on our premise, I think that probably that's true.
Okay. And are all of you, aside from the robot, humans?
Yes.
I'm human.
I think we're interstellar. Doesn't sound like we're galactic. No, I'm sorry. We're galactic, right? Yeah. Sorry. Whatever. What if there aren't aliens? What if it's just humans?
Yeah.
And then, I mean, that doesn't mean we can't introduce aliens, but just like as of right now, there's no, you know what I mean? What do you guys feel about that?
I'm fine with that.
Unfortunately, I'm not getting any of that.
Oh, he said that there might be no aliens at all.
Can you check your settings?
I have Alejandro turned all the way up on my control panel. I've done what I can do.
Yeah.
I'm gonna change my ear thing, but it causes other problems. The other ones. So
let me
check
check
how that works.
Okay, all right. So, all right, cool, interesting. So, all right, so only humans right now and robots. Cool. Okay. Here's a good question. So this is robot related. How are robots treated? Are they simply tools? Are they treated as equals? Are they kind of second-class citizens? Simon, what do you think about how robots are treated in the setting?
I think it's they're still objects. They're not treated as people per se, but how can I form my thoughts? Yes, still see them as tools and tools and appliance, so to speak.
How does Plex feel about that?
I think Plex knows its place, but he is happy to not be bound to anybody, or at least be bound to this group, who seems to be interesting.
Does and anybody can answer this question? Does the group treat Plex differently than a typical robot?
I think the fact that he's got that charisma, we might actually forget. I can see myself forgetting that he's a robot.
Okay.
If I'm actually seeing Plex in front of me, I'm assuming you've got that. I'm assuming that. Well, I don't know that it's uncommon for robots to have well-developed personalities, but I mean, you're more charming than any of us, so.
Okay, I'm not sure I'm getting this across. Like, I think.
So, are you like an android that has synthetic skin?
Yeah.
What does Plex look like? That's a good question.
Well, my first ideas of pictures had more human skins, and well, they were just like cyberpunk characters at first. But if I can get the old picture I had, no.
Human cyborg relations.
What?
Human cyborg relations.
Yeah.
C3PO. You're not C3PO.
Yeah, that was one of the package I could have taken. No, but like, I feel the AI of robots are developed enough that they have personalities, and they feel like a person, but they are still bought and traded and things like that.
Okay. All right. Cool. Okay. So cool. All right.
First of all, how's I changed my thing. How's it better?
Yes,
way better.
100% now.
Okay.
And it's not electronic either. So
Good.
Okay. I just want to say that my Valeric probably prefers the company to robots than to people, just because of the way he is, the way I think I'm going to try to play him. So just throwing that out there.
Cool. Okay. So Valeric would definitely have a different perspective on robots than the typical person.
Right. He doesn't get people.
Okay, cool. Okay, great. So I think we have a good feel for how robots are typically treated, plus our stuff here. Okay, cool. What are these tabs that appeared down here? These weird tabs appeared on the character builder. I don't know what these are. All right. Okay, let's see here. Okay, so the next thing I want to talk about, Vector, you have a noble background. Your origin you picked was noble. So I want to talk about what that means in the setting. So we have an empire. We have an emperor. How does the nobility fit into that picture? Is this we'll go with like, is this like a feudal monarchy where the nobility has actual power and territory, or is it more of a like a figurehead sort of situation where there are groups that have noble titles but they really don't mean anything? Like, well, how do you feel about that?
I think that they are titles that are granted by the emperor. So in some cases, they are governors of maybe a moon. I don't know how many planets we have in our system, in our world we're crafting here, but and then there's a whole hierarchy of nobles going down.
Okay.
Down
but do they have, I guess my question is, do they have political power, or are they...
I would think that they're political, considering the emperor is the ultimate political force in the empire. So.
Okay. Are they hereditary, or are they just purely assigned by the emperor?
Well, I don't know. I guess that depends on who the emperor is and how he operates his empire.
Well, you get to decide.
Okay.
I'm kind of imagining something along the lines of Dune. What do you think of that?
Leto II or Padishah Emperor Shaddam IV.
There's the birth thing, but then there's also the emperor kind of
deciding who has what power where, you know,
Yeah.
like kind of shuffling people around, you know.
Yes, I imagine that. So which is also very similar to sort of Star Wars Emperor as well. But
So is the political power centralized then? So the emperor, what I'm getting at is the emperor is not dependent on these nobles to retain his or her power, right? Is that the idea, that they are pretty much dependent on the emperor?
I think it might be like Japanese feudal society. So
Okay.
You have an emperor who is a political force, but then there are also these other nobles who are in some cases more powerful than the emperor. So they're shuffling each other around for jockeying for position. And,
Okay.
which makes it a lot more political and interesting than just.
Yeah, I mean, if all the power is centralized in the emperor, it makes it less interesting for you guys, because ultimately you have to deal with the emperor and that's it. Whereas in this case, maybe not. So that's kind of cool. Okay. Okay. And so given all that, where does your character fit into this nobility system?
So maybe he is. Maybe he's a child of one of the great houses.
Okay.
Yep. So here, I'm going to roll a die, and it's going to tell me what I'm going to do.
Okay.
Okay. So the second most powerful house in the Lanzerod is the house that he is from.
Lanzerod. Okay. Okay.
Well, that's a Dune term, but we can call it.
Whatever you want to call it. I don't care.
Yeah.
You don't have to worry about trademarks and copyrights here. So whatever you want it to be.
Let's call it the Enterprise. Oh, sorry. Just kidding.
So, all right. So the second most powerful house, and you are what position within that house? Are you like a main person? Are you a low, where are you at?
Nice.
I am the third child, so I'm not in direct succession to the head of the house, but I'm third in line.
Cool.
If the other people were to die in front of me. 2 murders away. You got it.
But the key to that is they'll let you out of their sight, whereas maybe the second in line or first in line, they would not.
That makes a lot of sense of why I would be going off to make my fortune, so to speak. Leaving the house.
Okay, cool. All right, good. So I think we're good. I think that makes a lot of sense. Let's talk about, so a couple of you have references to this academy. And so I wanted to talk about that. Now, I did want to also point out, you do not have to be from the same academy. However, it might be interesting if you were. But I do want to talk about that. So what is, how do you guys picture this? Let's start with Alejandro. So how do you picture this academy that your character was trained in?
I'm going to say that I'm also the child of a noble.
Okay.
Though not like a lesser house. So,
okay.
So maybe there's this like kind of academy where the nobility sends them to. Like maybe it's on Coruscant, whatever, like the central planet, and that's where you get your training, and there are no lessers there. It's all only nobility. And
would you imagine this is kind of like our university system where most people who aspire, I'll say the nobility, would all be expected to go there, right? Like it would be, if you're of a certain social class, you go to the academy. Does that fit in with your idea of this?
Yeah. But I'm also saying that there's only the nobility that goes there.
Right.
There is nobody that's not of the nobility that goes there. I mean, there might be like a child of a really, really like high merchant house or something like that, but that's still going to be rare. It's just like It's
But
just
they'd
that,
have to be sponsored by another, like a noble house, right?
yeah, but still, it's even yeah, but
Yeah.
still, it's going to be really rare. I mean, it's very elitist.
Okay.
What about on the opposite scale? So the emperor's children also go there?
Yeah, I would say so. Yeah.
So then I probably went there as well then.
Yeah, yeah, right. Are there, so is this academy one single place, or is it kind of like kind of spread out where there's multiple academies on different planets, or is it just like one big sprawling?
I would guess that there is one big sprawling academy on the main planet, but that there are also, like, you know, specializations where you can have like satellite campuses.
Okay.
But that's like later on, like the first and second, possibly third years, all spent at the academy, and then and then
Okay,
also,
so they might have like an engineering one where you go off to another planet at some point for your, you know, final year or whatever, right?
yeah.
Okay. Okay. Cool. Okay. So given that, we also have Fabian, the ace, who also is academy trained. So how does that fit in with your view? Would you have gone to that same academy? Is there another academy that's maybe just for pilots, or how do you feel about that, Michael?
Oh, that's a good question. Whether there'd be a pilot academy.
I mean, it could be a completely different system. It doesn't have you could be from some. You don't have to be a nobility. I mean, you could say that there's a completely different academy that's got nothing to do with what they've been talking about.
Yeah, I thought about not being noble, but at the same time, being born in the nobility class would explain why she has a -1 to wisdom. like she never really had to, like, you know, didn't have to deal with any of the hard knocks, and that's why that's her you know, her least developed attribute. So yeah, I think I'll go ahead and let's stick with the nobility plan.
Okay, so I guess the same question then about, so Valeric is from a lesser noble house. So is that where you picture Fabian, or is Fabian from a major house, or what do you think?
I'm gonna say, yeah, let's say major.
Okay. Do you want to be from the same one as Vector, or a different one, a competing one?
I might leave that for how our relationships get defined to determine whether I was from a rival academy or the same one.
Okay. Okay.
In fact, I'm looking over the relationships now for the ace.
Yeah. Well, yeah. Actually, you know what? It might not be a bad time to go into that now that we've had a chance to make some decisions. So why don't we jump down to that real quick? So each playbook has 6 relationships. So you're going to fill in 1 for each of the other characters. So you're going to fill in 3 of those for each of you. The special relationship, which is marked as the first one, is the only difference between that and a regular relationship is the aid and interfere moves. So the way those work is normally when you aid somebody, you give them a +1 to whatever it is they're trying to do. If you have a special relationship with them, you give them a +2 instead of the +1. So the only difference between those relationships is just mechanical. It's just whether or not you're giving them a +2 or not. And you only get 1 special relationship. You don't have to have one. And typically, I encourage people to make it something that is special to their character. For example, Plex might have a special relationship with whoever he first started to serve in this group. So he might have a special relationship with Valeric, who fixes him up. You know, that sort of a thing. So, but other than that, special relationship is no different than the rest of them. So if you want to use one, you can. If you don't want to, that's cool too. So it looks like Vector has already made some decisions. So Ash, why don't you talk about Vector's relationships?
Sure. So Plex, I must keep Plex ready and available for action. And this is pretty obvious because he's going to be protecting me and protecting us all together. So that means that I need to make sure that he has everything he needs, repair, oil, whatever products robots need. And I also need to get the very best out of Valeric's abilities. So tools, whatever, I will help facilitate getting and acquiring those tools so that he may use them. And maybe that keys into keeping Plex available and repaired.
Yeah.
And then for Fabian, must help me find the way out. And I haven't quite figured out what that out is.
It just depends on the situation. It could be lots of different things.
Yeah.
These are kind of worded in a way that hopefully they apply to lots of situations.
Yeah,
so.
I think it's a really good, well-written one, because it does, a lot of questions can come up based on that. So yeah.
It's interesting if it represents something a little bit deeper, like out of this life. You know what I mean? Like, why are you actually escaping on a research vessel? You know what I mean?
It may not even be on the ship. I mean, you guys could be in a situation where you're running from some kind of danger and Fabian helps you get out of it. And it may not even be on the ship. I mean, it doesn't have to be. So, cool. All right.
There's the dying sun.
Right.
Getting out of the system.
So one thing.
The pilot.
Right.
Boom. That's it.
That seems like an obvious one. Yeah.
Take your experience.
So one thing I wanted to point out while looks like some people are making some decisions on theirs. So these are things that you want to make sure that you try to have happen in the game so you get XP for it. So you one of the things with the drives relationships is that you're pushing these to happen. So I'm going to, as a GM, make it possible to happen, but I'm not going to think too hard about, well, let's see, how am I going to make it possible for Fabian to get you out of some situation? You're going to get into some situation no matter what, and then you will have to be like, oh, I need Fabian to do something here to help me get out of this one, get XP for it. I mean, at a meta level, you do need to, at some point, maybe not in the beginning of the game, but at some point start thinking about that so that you can make sure that you're getting XP for that stuff happening. So, and as I said, we'll go back occasionally during play and I'll say, hey, during the last scene, check your driver's relationships, make sure that you got XP for everything that makes sense. And you can ask me if you're not sure, like, do you think I got credit for this one? You know, we'll talk about it. So, but my experience with these longer games, in a one shot, typically I have to do that for the whole game. But in games I've run where people have either played before or were playing a longer game, at some point, usually at the end of the first session or the beginning of the second session, people start to kind of get the idea of how to track this on their own without needing a lot of you know, going back and hand holding and stuff. But it's expected in the beginning because this is kind of a new deal. So, okay, it looks like people are still deciding on relationships, unless anyone else wants to jump in. It looks like, Fabian, you've at least picked the ones you want to use.
So
Yes.
I was thinking that kind of want to go against character a little bit with some of these. So like blank must protect me from injury would typically be Plex, but I'm thinking that it would be actually more interesting if I must help Plex solve a perplexing mystery. How do you feel about that, Plex?
And Plex is in the name. Yeah. That's even better.
Yeah.
Plex is perplexing,
complex. Right? Yeah, I feel that way too. Like I was tempted to just put Victor as Victor's need to watch my back, but it'd be more interesting if like entangle these relationships a little bit more.
And one thing I do want to point out while you guys are making these decisions, if a situation comes up where you guys both trigger relationships for the same thing, that's totally fine, and you should try to make that happen. Yeah,
I have one here that must protect me from injury. Can I change that to must protect me from trouble? I was thinking Fabian must protect me from trouble.
Sure. Yep.
Which one? Who was that? Oh, that was which character are you? Which one are you playing?
Valeric. For Valeric.
Okay. Yeah, you know, that actually let's I think that might be interesting, but I was also thinking that I was actually thinking about having that relationship with Vector, and the reason is he's already established that that I have to help Vector find the way out. Now I was wondering what if that means that we attended the same academy. Now is the one who is always kind of like either keeping him out of trouble or keeping him from flunking out. You know, like helping you find the way out of actually passing, you know, the academy. I don't know if that fits what you envision for your character at all.
Sure.
It doesn't. Oh, okay. Because I was also thinking that maybe either I would assign Vector to the blank needs me to get them out of danger, or there's another of my relationships where I need to keep Blank in tip-top shape. I see. Yeah, it's kind of the same. I think Valeric. I think you have that same thing too. But I was thinking about taking one of those and assigning them to Vector. Like either I have to keep you out of danger, or either you need me to keep you out of danger, or I have to keep you in tip-top shape. Like keep you from like not screwing up this mission. I don't even know if you envision. I don't want to like. I know it's a little dangerous because I don't want to define you as being like the screw up at all. So in fact, needing to keep you out of danger might be a better of the two, might be the better relationship. But that goes back. But to take that back to Valeric, if I do establish that relationship with Vector, I don't know. What if I had to do that for Valeric too? Like I was what if Vabi ended up being the person who had to keep like both
that would
the leader and the scientist?
That would imply that you're kind of like the cool head that's been like the guy that keeps us out of trouble. The thing is, like, the other relationships are not like really interesting for me. Like the relationship statements that I have for the scientists are not like Blank must reward me for my services. That's not interesting for the character I'm trying to play. Okay. I need Blank to take me to new places.
That could be me.
Yeah, but that's
it's almost a little too perfunctory, isn't it?
Yeah. I have
unless you define that as being more metaphorical, like not new physical places, but I don't know, who knows?
Yeah.
But again, then it gets a little abstract.
The spice must flow.
And then,
but if me protecting you from trouble, if that's the one that you feel was comfortable with, I'm perfectly fine playing with that. I mean, as the pilot, I am kind of keeping everyone out of trouble because, I'm the one who's moving people around. And if we find more, more interesting ways of tagging that, then all the better.
So the other one I was thinking of doing with Vector, and this would kind of define our relationship a little bit. Vector and I must break something together. Like, so we like, I imagine we like just getting into things and like tearing things apart, probably maybe we knew each other when we were kids and we were those kids that would like rip apart the home stereo and then just not put it back together. I don't know. How do you feel about that?
Sure. I imagine my character as being a bit of the silver spoon, looking down a long nose.
Maybe that was our relationship in the past, and I'm still there, but you're not. I don't know.
Breaking stuff certainly fits into that,
Yeah.
Just walking away.
Okay. All right, so it looks like Valeric. Looks like you've got your 3. Okay, cool. All right, and then Plex, how you doing on your relationships?
Keep changing them and changing my mind.
Yeah. See, that's what happens when you wait too long. People start saying something that's interesting. You're like, oh, wait a minute. Yeah.
All right, somebody definitely needs me to watch their back. Like I said, the easy option is Vector, because I really feel like I'm being owned by this noble character is like the way to go.
Okay.
All right, let's do this. Vector needs me to watch it back.
Okay.
The rival house has assassins coming after me, and I need some support in my back because obviously
that might happen. Don't start suggesting stuff to me because I'll use it. So
it's all right. Take the creative fodder.
There was one time I was running a game and they were trying to escape some ship. They're trying to deal with some ship that they needed to get on board and do some stuff on this ship. And they were in space, and so one of them failed a roll to do something with the other ship, like they were trying to unlock it remotely or something. And one of the players was like, "Oh, what if we started some self-destruct sequence?" I didn't say anything at the time, but I'm like, oh yeah, that sounds great.
Self-destruct sequence.
So,
as I understand, for Valeric, he's leaning more on machines than people, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right, so I think I need to take Valeric to new places. take you out of your comfort zone and make you see the world. I'll be your wingbot, no problem.
I love that. I love that the robot is trying to help the human be more human.
Yeah, exactly.
All right.
And so, Fabienne, where do I fit you in?
Yeah, I was looking. I was trying to think of what Fabienne's relationship with Plex would be, and the one thing that came to mind is, and this me either get into like, I don't know, this gets into like Robert Heinlein / heavy metal territory, and so get your X cards ready. But there's blank must push me to try new things, and going with the idea of like robots and and human interactions. What if there is like actually a relation, like an actual relationship between the two? I don't know if that's anything that you're at all interested in, even like.
Well, I was a bit interested in having my Plex like being very seductive and like trying to be in a relationship with all sorts of people, not just member of the crews. So it could really hit it off.
Right, let's do that. I'll go ahead and say Plex must push me to try new things. And
all right. We'll see where that goes.
Get your veils ready. Get your veils ready.
All right, cool.
Well, usually when we ask for lines and veil and anything of sexual nature, I usually put in under veil. It's interesting to explore, but not to show.
Right.
Sure. Yeah, it could just be like side stuff, but it's there.
Yeah.
Well, then if we're going to try new things in a whole other point of view, I must help Fabienne destroy something.
Interesting. Sounds like the bedrock of a very healthy relationship.
Yes.
So Vector has 2 break things with 2 other characters. Fabian has 2 protect people from trouble elements, and so there's kind of like personalities that are starting to evolve here.
Yeah,
that's interesting.
All right, so it looks like we just need Fabian to make some decisions, and we should be good.
Sure. So, training so-and-so into ship duties, does that sound like a Valeric thing?
No, that sounds like a me thing, a Vector. I don't.
Oh, okay. Oh, yeah.
We're on the ship. Are you kidding me?
What does this button do?
Yeah,
right. That's great. Yeah.
And I just dropped the shields. Thanks, Vector.
Get me when we arrive. I'm going to be in my room.
Yeah.
Drinking. Right. You're right. And then for back to Valeric, I could either of the 2 others I've selected for as being my best possibilities, I could either you need me to keep you out or to get you out of danger, or I have to keep you in tip-top shape. The other ones, there is also I need blank to get me somewhere in a hurry, which I didn't think was too applicable. And then I'll show blank how speed kills, which I don't think is the kind of game we're playing here. I'm not playing like a hot. Yeah, well, I don't know. If I were playing like a hot rodding, criminal, maybe it might be a little more.
I need to keep Valeric in tip-top shape, implying that like if this like I'm that type of person that'll just stay up all night for several nights in a row, just working on a project, and you or maybe like, dude, go to fucking bed.
Yeah. And as you said before, you're someone who's more comfortable around robots than people.
Yeah.
So maybe you have like maybe that affects your personality in ways where I'm just trying to keep you like, I don't know, not necessarily human, but just from
And I
like
have a very
from
similar,
like going too far off. I'm sorry.
I have a very similar one too. I need to get the very best out of Valeric's abilities. So
Oh, those might be
Yeah.
opposing.
yeah, keep them in.
Work harder. No, take care of yourself.
Oh, like you're pushing Valor to like just
Yeah.
work even harder and harder to get what needs to accomplish the mission, and I'm like trying
So
to keep
Valeric,
him safe so
what's
he
the
doesn't like,
matter?
fall apart. Yeah, maybe. I can see that.
That's kind of awesome. I dig that.
All right, cool. All right. All right, so I just deleted those extra tabs here, and it didn't look like it broke anything, so good. Okay. Okay, so the last thing I want to do before we get started is I do have some kind of canned questions that I wrote up this afternoon before we talked about anything, before I knew anything about any of your characters. And so I'm going to ask them randomly of you guys, and there's two for each of you. And this will kind of help us flesh out some additional things about the setting and or your character. Mostly your character, but hopefully the setting stuff too. So let's jump into that, and then once we're done there, we'll take a break. And then we will have some action scenes with the time we have left. So, all right. So, Fabian, Michael, what do you want in the floating city?
I think let's keep it simple. Maybe something that would empower some kind of unique upgrade to Vespera, the ship.
Okay, can you elaborate like what that might be?
Maybe some kind of unique power crystal. I mean, it's a floating. Basically, whatever keeps the floating city afloat would probably do awesome things for the Vespera's power drive.
And what do you imagine this floating city is?
Well, of course, my mind goes to Cloud City.
Could be.
So yeah, yeah. As far as a floating city, I just imagine something, maybe something over a planet that's I don't know, maybe irradiated,
like
and
a
that's
gas
why
planet
they can't live on the surface. Oh, even better. Yeah, just like Cloud City. Yeah.
Okay. And maybe is this a place where, because Cloud City is an industrial, like a mining deal, right? Like this doesn't have to be that. It could be
right.
Like
how about the
Yes?
Academy is there in the floating city?
Oh. Well, that opens up what I would want in the floating city. That certainly opens up the possibilities, doesn't it?
So maybe we were the bad kids.
I mean, yeah.
And we're gonna go back and heist this thing from the floating city to help out the ship, and we need Valric to install it.
Maybe in order to accomplish our mission of we're trying to find a star that's not dying, right?
Well, we haven't really talked about what that is. I mean, we can if you want. We talked about the fact that there are multiple stars that are possibly going nova and some black holes that have recently appeared and stuff like that. So what your characters are trying to do could be related to that, sure. So is the thing that you want in the floating city related to that in some way?
I don't know if it's directly really. I mean, I think in order, I don't know. What do you think? Do you think we should just keep it a little more simpler to trying to enhance our ship's needs before we get into the big Uber plot, or do we want to like kind of expand?
Go for it. Go for it. I mean, we have 5 sessions, right? We're not gonna have like 12 weeks to like explore.
Okay.
Go for it.
So get right into the core mission. Okay. Well, in that case,
Shielding technology applies to the shielding. Maybe this sun is going to go any day, supernova, and it will help with shielding or something. Or maybe
like it's experimental, some kind of device, maybe.
How about the information that has been calculated by the Academy
Yeah, it doesn't have to be a physical thing.
Go
either.
out to everyone to let them know that this is even going to happen, and they've kept it silent. I don't know. That's I'm throwing spit.
So I would like there to be some sort of intrigue. So if the sun's going nova any day now is kind of probably just too. Then we'll get into like MCU territory.
No, maybe they don't know. Maybe
Right, but they're being intrigued. Like maybe the Empire is keeping things secret, or the Academy is, because like what I'm wondering is, we're not just a research vessel, right? I mean, that's kind of how we got started, but I think there's more to us than that. I would hope. So maybe something with regarding intrigue is called for. So, because I'd like there to be a little bit of excitement, even if we're not like a smuggler ship.
sure.
You know.
So what do you think about it being information that you need in the floating city?
There was a professor in the academy, and
Maybe he knows something.
stuff, and he was the guy that scrawled everything on boards everywhere, and kind of everybody thought he was kind of crazy. But
Maybe you need him. Maybe you need to like extract him from the academy and take him with you.
I have an idea. What if the nobility actually has a star system in mind that they're going to go to, and they're just going to leave everybody else behind? Like,
I like it.
fuck the commoners.
Yeah.
And we're part of the nobility. We're kind of in on it, but we're not assholes. So
Yeah, I mean, I was thinking like, yeah, because I was kind of thinking something along the lines of maybe some knowledge of like some secret sector of space.
Yeah.
But I think that it totally leans into what you're talking about. Like, are we going to try to democratize the knowledge of people and let people know where refuge is, and hope they can find a way to make it there at least? Kind of information wants to be free kind of thing.
If that's what you guys want to do, that sounds cool to me.
that sounds good. It also, I mean, yeah, that sounds cool.
Okay, so we want to say the answer to this is that there's a professor at the academy in this floating city, and you need to either get his information or get him.
Yeah.
Does that sound like a good answer?
Yeah, that could be one aspect of it, but I think the other nobles also have it in their mind that there's this sort of nirvana somewhere, and they're keeping that secret from everyone else as they sort of leave the system behind. Everyone else is left there to get vaporized by the coming supernova.
Okay.
Yeah, I almost feel like we're kind of like starting to fill in some kind of like, and pardon the analogies, but like a WikiLeaks Ed Snowden kind of thing, where we're like about to like let this big elite secret out, and that could be the crux of our wacky hijinks.
Okay. Cool. All right. I want to get into the next questions here. So I think we have some good info there. So I think the next one makes a lot of sense for Valeric. So that is, finish typing here. What body part of yours was replaced with a cybernetic replacement, and why?
I have a cybernetic. I have a cybernetic eye that allows me to, like, it was not an accident. Like, I intentionally like took out my eye and put this element, so that it allows me to analyze things, like helps me do my analysis, but also it allows me to control telepathically my devices.
Okay, cool. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that. All right.
So I have Bluetooth in my head.
Okay, cool. All right, so, all right, we can explore that further if we need to. All right, next question is for Plex/Simon. What planet are you from, and why did you leave?
Oh. Planet.
There's a random planet generator.
There is cool. Do you have the link? I can search for it.
There's probably a number of them, I would imagine, or maybe not. I don't know.
Yeah.
Random planet generator. Yeah. New Shetland, no. Accordion. Delaware 4, okay. Oh, Nirvana. Like that is planet name.
Oh, maybe you are from the place that the nobles have already, and so you have that experience. And
What do you mean?
And you're from Nirvana. We called it Nirvana before, or something like that. Anyway, just throwing out ideas.
Is the place that the nobles want to go already inhabited?
It could be.
So I think if it's not, then there wouldn't be robots there.
I think it's a secret place. All right, so two things. A, we can go like New World stuff, like there's natives there, native aliens there, but you know, the nobles are in total denial of that. But it's also a secret place. But they would have sent some probes, so he could have been like one of the first robots to go there, and then returned and is now with us for some reason. I don't know.
I mean, it's possible that a colony could have been set there a little while ago, and maybe like over the past years or even decades, people may have just started disappearing, and no one really knew why. And then we find out that's why. I don't know if that's something you want to work into it.
Yeah. Well, Simon, it's up to you. Do you like that idea?
Not that much.
Okay, that's fine.
No, I think I want to go with something simpler.
Okay.
No, I think I'm just okay. What was the question? From what planet I'm from, and
Yeah, you
why
don't
did I
have to
leave?
name it. I mean, if you just want to describe it, and really the point of this is why did you leave?
Okay. I think I was on the planet where the Emperor is.
Okay.
I describe myself as being a bodyguard to the high noble, so I might have been a bodyguard to someone in the Emperor's family.
Okay.
And that person was disgraced or fell from grace, and I left before I could be dismantled or sold out, or you know, I actually fled the place.
Okay. 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 Cool. And then we'll figure out how you hooked up with everybody else as we move things along here. Okay. Great. All right. So the only person left that needs a question is Vector. So Vector, this is actually a good question for you. What is the nature of your relationship with the Emperor?
Well, we are a powerful family, obviously, in the Empire. And personally, my relationship, well, I don't know. I've got lots of ideas. So I'm going to throw a few of them out there, and then we'll see where it goes, okay?
Okay.
So one of them is his daughter. So I had some affair with his daughter, and it was on the down low. And so it caused all kinds of controversy and brought some shame to my family in the long run. And maybe that's how I got to know Plex.
I might have been the daughter's bodyguard.
There you go.
Yeah. And so, yeah, let's go with that then. That sounds pretty
Yeah,
good.
I think so.
So maybe Plex, you know, you probably wouldn't have cared if there was a robot around, right? So maybe Plex witnessed some of this and realized that even though this was frowned upon, that you guys had a legit relationship and that maybe it was worth trying to keep it secret. And, you know, does that make sense?
Yeah, I was shipping you two. Totally.
And she knew about the Emperor's plans to migrate to this other place. And
Yeah.
maybe he told me a little bit about it, and that's where.
What if she was threatened once this got out? Maybe she was told she had to break it off with you, otherwise she wouldn't be able to go.
Yeah, I like it.
Maybe secretly, maybe you'll take her anyway if you figure out a way to do it.
Yeah.
Because she doesn't dislike you, but she's put in this position, you know.
Right.
Is that cool? Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Cool. All right. So that's we got 4 more questions we're going to get through here, hopefully pretty quick. All right. So let me see. I'm going to go back to Valeric for this next one. So Valeric, what did you steal, and why do you hope no one finds out?
I stole. So I've been working on this project, with this like labor, this like enhancement suit, this exoskeleton thing, and I stole like an advanced like AI module type thing that I'm using for this companion that I'm building. So it's this kind of next level of computer awareness.
Okay. And why do you hope nobody finds out?
I think it's like top secret, like top military grade type thing, you know, and it'd be really bad. Like,
Okay.
I would be hunted, and I don't like being hunted.
Does Valeric have any kind of pride about his work? In other words, I guess what I'm asking is, would it be shameful for, I don't know if shameful is the right word, embarrassing for him to have not built this thing himself?
No. No,
Okay.
he doesn't associate with typical human emotions.
Okay.
He just has to build things, and he has to like he just is always working on something.
Okay, cool. All right. All right. So next question is going to go to Vector again. So it's kind of a weird one for you, but I don't like this for anybody else, so it's going to be yours. Who nearly ruined you professionally, and how did you recover if you did?
So the rival house outed me with the emperor's daughter, and that basically ruined my standing with the emperor, and maybe my own house even threw me out or distanced themselves from me.
Yeah.
For the time being. So maybe reconnecting with some of my academy bros.
Okay.
Bros, and there we go.
All right, cool. All right. That makes a lot of sense given what we've talked about already, so I like that. Okay. All right. This next question is actually pretty interesting, and I'm going to give this to Plex because it's between Plex and Fabian, and I want this to go to Plex. So anyway, Plex, which organization threatens you, and why are they pursuing you?
I could see something with my ties to the Emperor's family.
You could have been a prototype of that artificial intelligence thing that I have.
Oh, that'd be a cool way to link us. Yeah. I might. Oh, that's pretty good. I might have been like some type of like really high tech prototype of bodyguard, but I was sold in batch. One that the Emperor's family just bought. So I went to a legit trade, but I'm supposed to be a secret prototype. So the organization that's chasing me is the same that's getting the AI for that was the AI from Valeric. From who stole the AI and just wants to take me back to continue their research. I guess. I'm not sure. Well,
Okay.
Anyway, so we were talking about some kind of military organization, I think.
Yeah. Well, we don't need to strongly define it at this point. We can just say it's the Emperor's military or something, and that's fine for now, if you want to go with that.
Yeah, well.
Are you
something military, but I think like secret military. Some special ops. Something like that.
Like a secret police thing, or like maybe even an intelligence agency?
So are you a unique AI, or are you so there may be other robots, but is this an AI intelligence that you have over some of the other?
I have +1 charisma. There's definitely something wrong with me. So yeah, it's my AI that's really stands out. That's unique. And it's some kind of intelligence, something very, really high tech, intelligence spy, military organization.
Okay. Well, we can flesh that out next time. Okay, cool. Last question, and then we're going to go to break. Fabian, Michael, who fought for your freedom?
I'm going to say, who fought for my freedom? How about?
And what does that imply? Why did you need to be freed? I guess is part of that question too.
Right. So let's see. I came from a major house, trained in the academy. I'm going to say that maybe
it doesn't have to be literal imprisonment. It could be like a situation that you were trapped in.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe
who got me out of the compulsory military service? Because now I'm kind of on this freelance ship. If I were a major from a royal house. What if I wasn't?
Is it one of us, or is it like an NPC?
Could be anybody you want.
Okay.
Yeah.
What about an arranged marriage?
Yeah, I was thinking that too.
Oh well, yeah. That'll put some extra interesting background on why I'm currently in a relationship with a robot, right?
Right.
Hey, it's a unique AI robot.
That's true.
Yeah. Pardon me. Yeah,
it's a real.
I guarantee.
I programmed
Fabian would never.
That's it.
Ooh, hey, I have a really crazy idea. If you're okay with this,
okay.
Michael, tell me if you're okay. So this AI is imprinted with the personality of a person that died. So part of it is like
that being Plex?
Yes. What doesn't have? Yeah, let's say it's Plex. What if you had a lover who died and was transferred into Plex? Like their personality was partially part of Plex now.
Huh. Plex, how do you feel about that? Or excuse me.
That could be good. I have a new romancer feeling right now.
I just want to say that kind of. I think that's a neat idea, but it kind of takes away from some like interesting element of this being like this new high tech, like unique AI type experiment. But I mean, if you want to go, I'm not gonna nay it. I'm not. I'm just.
I do feel like you bring up a good point, though. Is that part of what inspired me to try this, to put forth this idea, is just kind of the cutting edge sci-fi aspect of it all. And if Plex is actually inhabited by the personality of someone I was already in love with, it may take a little bit away from that.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'm not saying that I actually do like the idea of having gotten out of a arranged marriage, because given that these are major kind of like futuristic medieval houses, arranged marriages I'm sure are totally a thing.
Yeah.
And
how about arranged marriage with my rival house? That will give them a little bit more story teeth.
Done. Sure. And but now who got me out of that?
Sounds like Vector's volunteering.
Sure, I'm a noble. I can say, hey, let's Get out of there.
And that would be why that could be the crux of why I've signed on to this mission.
Yeah, we need to get the hell out of here. Oh, by the way, I have a ship. Sounds good to me. Let's go.
And
All
this
right,
robot,
yeah, it's
by the way, there's this robot.
Yeah.
Hey,
Oh,
right.
really?
Robot.
Hey, lady.
Hey, how you
How are
doing?
you doing, Fabienne?
How you
There
doing?
Sure, let's roll with that. I like that.
All right.
Sounds
All right.
good.
That's a good. All right.
As
So
long
we're gonna
as
take
we
a.
save the emperor's daughter. So long as we save the emperor's daughter and get her out of here, I'm good.
All right. So we're gonna take a short break here for the viewers. Be about let's go 5 minutes because I don't want to go too late tonight. So let's go 5 minutes ish, and then we'll come back and play. I'll see you guys in a few.
Hey, Simon, where are you from?
The cold frozen wasteland of Canada. No,
That's-
seriously, it's freezing out there, and it's May. I don't understand anything. But yeah, Canada, Quebec.
Quebec. Okay.
So the French part of Canada.
Nice.
I noticed an accent, but I wasn't sure.
Mm.
I'm from California, Southern California. So
No, no freezing problem.
frigid weather here is like, when the clouds go cover the sun, and then it's like, fuck, man. I have to put my t-shirt back on.
I know. Yeah, I just translated in Fahrenheit the temperature here. It's below 50 degrees. It's May. There's no reason.
But below how low? Where are you at?
I'm Quebec, Canada.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm in California.
Oh, two Californians. And I'm just outside the Washington, D.C. area. Or just outside of Washington. I'm in the Washington, D.C. area.
Okay, I'm back. Cool. So you guys are getting to know each other. That's good.
Ash, real quick, what part of California?
Sacramento.
Oh, okay. I'm in Southern California.
Oh, you're in Southern California.
Yeah.
Whereabouts?
Which one?
You.
I'm in Orange County.
Okay.
Yeah.
Cool.
I lived in San Diego for a while. That was I enjoyed
Me
it.
too. That's where I was born and grew up.
Yeah, that weather. Speaking of weather, it's like 70 something all year
Right.
round.
I know.
All
Nice.
right.
Well, I have 4 seasons here, and
Yeah, you have 4 seasons.
Where are you, Simon?
Quebec, Canada, near Montreal.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of figured that out from your accent, but I thought I'd ask just to be sure. Now, we talked about I'm in Miami. Okay, cool. So, all right. So let's jump into some action. So based on what we've talked about so far, I think I have an interesting first scene. I think we'll probably just end up doing one scene here because it's 9:30 Eastern already. I don't want to go too much longer, but I do want to give you guys a chance to do some stuff with your characters. So I think the most interesting thing that we talked about so far in terms of a thing to do would be for you guys to be extricating this professor that we talked about, who's at the floating city, the academy. So I think we have a professor, Emeron, who is a minor noble. He's a lord, which is just kind of the lowest level of nobility. And he was elevated to this position by the emperor. He's not part of an official noble house. He was elevated to this position just because of his accomplishments and because of his value to the empire. So he knows, you think that he must know something important. He's not just a regular professor. We'll say that he's like a astrophysics professor or something, right? Like, a relatively pedestrian pursuit amongst a spacefaring kind of culture, but still something that certainly your underclass students would need to learn something about. You probably have all had some sort of astrophysics courses if you went through the academy. But you do know that this guy was not a noble and was elevated to noble status. So he knows something. And so through I guess Fabian, since you're the one I asked the question about, your character knows something about this Professor Emeron. So I guess the first question I want to ask real quick as we're getting into this is how do you come across this knowledge about Professor Emeron that he knows something that you guys want? Michael.
Oh, I'm sorry. That was me. I'm sorry. Yeah. How did we come to know that he's? I guess
the daughter of the emperor might have known. And also, if we all went to this academy, that's another possibility.
Okay. So what is it that you think that he knows?
maybe at first we just think he knows about what happened to like one particular miss of the maybe he knows, maybe as far as maybe we just think he knows the location of one of the missing nobles, and when really he knows where they all are. I don't know. Is that something that, or did?
We also talked about the idea that he might have calculated exactly when the sun was going to go through.
That seems pretty reasonable.
That information.
Wait, what was the last thing you said, Ash?
I'm sorry, say again.
What was the last thing you said about him?
That he knows, he's calculated when the sun is going to go supernova here, and that information has only carried to the most high levels of the nobility.
Okay, does that seem reasonable?
Sure.
So why would your characters want that information, other than the obvious, okay, we need to know how long we have before the thing blows up? But I mean, why would your characters particularly care about that?
Screw him! That would be my character's motivation.
Is it possible that for some reason we were not deemed worthy and were left out of the big conspiracy?
Yeah, totally. That would make the most sense, actually, I think, given what we've talked about so far.
I would imagine that the people that are actually in charge are planning to move all the nobles. So we're going to go with the nobles because we are nobles. But like my character's main concern is like there has to be like everybody else needs to go, be aware of this, and needs to go. You know what I mean? Because
throw a wrench in the system. A little
not
bit.
so much throw a wrench in the system. It's just like we're going to kill trillions of people for what? You know what I mean? I may not be good with people. Doesn't mean I want trillions of people to die.
Mm-hmm. And maybe you've persuaded us that this is something that's worth putting our lives, on the line for, because it's it is like unimaginable. The amount of life at stake is like
Okay.
And for me, the Emperor has sort of lined out my name from the list of people that are going to be going. So I'm all for sending this shit out everywhere.
Yeah.
So you're the one who's been,
And I think all of you, or at least most of you, have an interest in keeping Vector, and helping him. So, okay.
One more thing. I would imagine that this, like the sun's going supernova and the need to leave is equivalent to like the climate debate in the early 80s, where everybody's like, oh, this is a joke, what are you talking about?
Yeah. Yeah, it wouldn't be readily apparent to the average person that this was happening. I'm not sure that I'm not knowledgeable enough in astrophysics to answer this question off the top of my head, but I don't know how obvious it would be even to a person who didn't study a star that it was getting ready to go supernova. I don't know if it looks different, or I don't know. So
well, it does. It does. The inner planets, because the sun would be like slowly expanding.
Okay.
And changing color.
But is it slow enough to where a normal person wouldn't see it, though?
I think so. I think it could be slow enough, because cosmic timescales don't work on on a 9 to 5.
Right.
Well, is it like a frog boiling in a water, though, where you wouldn't notice it unless you were trying to pay attention to it?
I think so. I mean, like planets like Venus and Mercury which probably at one point were habitable, are now not being habitable.
Yeah.
But they can like hand wave that away,
Yeah.
And for us to just share the thing, it's just like, oh yeah, it's just a bunch of frat bros causing trouble. Whereas, so we actually need actual evidence in order to present.
And a voice and a standing to, even have people believe you.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. That's legit. Okay. So this professor would give you a bit of that. I mean, he's a known expert in the field. He is another noble. He is right now in the emperor's favor. That may change, but as of right now, he is. So he's somebody valuable. All right. So your characters know that he is. He works and lives in the floating city at the academy. He is known to just about everybody there by sight. So he has a distinctive appearance. We'll say that he's got a lot of cybernetic replacement, like part of his head is cyber, and he's maybe got cybernetic arm and stuff like that. So his appearance is very distinctive. So people would definitely recognize him if they saw him. So he's also, as far as your characters know, not aware of you guys and what you're trying to do. So we're starting off where he doesn't. Maybe one or two of you may have had a class with Professor Amaron, but you're not on, like first name basis or anything with the guy. I mean, you barely know the guy.
We've all gone through his classes. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
But is this somebody who is a voice who is trying to get his prophecy, so to speak, out there?
You don't know.
Or is he somebody who's like, I figured it out, but I don't care. I'm heading there.
Well, your characters don't know that. I think that you know that he has some knowledge. You would suspect that if he was trying to do that, the Emperor would silence him. So if he is trying to do that, he's doing it in some secretive way right now. So you don't know if he's receptive to your idea of helping with this stuff or not. You hope that he is. But I don't think you know 100% for sure that he is. So, so we're going to start this. You guys are in the floating city.
What's
that?
Where is the ship at? Is it
docked? That was going to be my question. So where would you want to put the ship? Michael.
Well, I imagine there'd be docks on the periphery of the floating city.
Mm-hmm.
Or even, actually, no, it'll probably just be, if it's really kind of a large platform, it'll probably just be like in a regular hangar, because I'm sure, rather than just hanging off the edge, because I imagine that would require some kind of fuel expenditure, and what's the point of that?
Yeah, I mean, there's probably a ton of landing platforms. I mean, I'm imagining there's thousands of people here at any one time, so there's got to be a bunch of places for you to put down. I guess my question is, would you try to hide it somewhere, or would you just put it in a normal spot where
I see what
there'd be a ton of other ships just available, like some landing platform 36 or whatever? And your ship's not terribly remarkable in appearance, is it?
How guarded is this place?
Well, there's a lot of nobles here, so they would be concerned about like some schmuck getting in here somehow and trying to rob people or whatever. So there'd be some security. I don't think it's high security. I think it's probably medium to low security.
Yeah, I don't think our ships would particularly stand out. Just judging from the pic, it's not particularly flashy or anything like that.
Uh-huh.
And I think, probably just because I think it might, especially since we're not a smuggling ship, trying to hide it like by docking somewhere, like in the shadows or like underneath or something might actually end up drawing more attention than we want if we were just to blend in with everyone else.
Yeah, there's tons of places you can land. The only thing that you would have to do, and we'll say you've already done this because I said you guys were there, but you would have had to talk to the landing control or whatever to kind of justify why you're there. But we'll say that you have done that already. What would you have told them though, in terms of why you were there?
Maybe we could just make up that we were on a donor's visit. Anything academy, if anything, any kind of educational institution we want, it's like alumni coming here to drop money.
Yeah, you guys are legitimately alumni, right? Like you've all graduated from here, right? Except for Plex, obviously.
No.
No?
We were all given certificates. Let's just say that.
I barely graduated. I barely made it through.
All right. Okay. All right, cool. So, all right. So you're there under the auspices that you're an alumni coming to talk to somebody about donating money to the academy. Okay, that's fine. Okay. All right. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to introduce this milestone. So we talked about milestones earlier. So we're going to introduce the first milestone for tonight, which is extract Professor Amaron from the floating city. So, so the milestone, basically, when I introduce the milestone, it means that you're now going to mark 2 of your drives as active for this.
I'm sorry. I think that this is awesome, and I think that we are totally over our heads. We are like so over our heads. Okay, that was it. Sorry, go ahead.
All right, so that's the milestones that extract the professor. So what you want to do now is pick 2 of your drives that you want to be active until either this is resolved or I introduce a new milestone. So you're going to be in this academy, probably sneaking. I would imagine trying to sneak, trying to avoid getting entangled with guards and things, security systems, and then convincing this guy to come with you, I think, right? So think about what drives that you want to mark given that.
How flexible are these? Like, because I have like convey hidden knowledge to someone, or bring someone or something back from the brink of death or destruction. I mean, I don't know.
Well, I mean, we'll just, it's situational. So if you did the thing that's listed there, then you get credit for it. So if you don't think that that situation is going to come up, then I wouldn't mark it. Like, if you're not expecting to be in battle, then that bringing somebody back from the brink of death probably isn't likely to happen, but.
Well, because like I have prove your intellectual superiority over your enemies. That is so like not anything I will ever pick for my character. You know, and I feel like these are kind of, if they're situational like this, they seem very kind of a little too specific. So I don't really have any drive that really I feel reflects this this milestone. You know.
What about investigate a new technology or species?
Well, I mean, it depends on how flexible this is. I mean, the goal is to go get the professor and bring him out. So that's not investigating a new technology or species. You know what I mean?
But you're going into a situation where there is a lot of weird and experimental technology in this academy, so that could happen. You could run into something that's new to you.
Okay, so these are supposed to give us like little side quest goals.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right.
To me, it seems like it's also. I'm sorry. Go ahead. Oh, to me, it almost seems like it's also useful because it gets you to start thinking about what you can do to, achieve the ultimate goal. Like, it's almost like you're kind of anticipating what your plan's going to be as you start to select your drives.
Yeah, it just kind of seems. I get what you're saying, but it just kind of seems a little rigid, and I don't know. There's something wonky on it that I can't put my finger on, but I don't know. I'll do the best I can.
Okay. That's all we ask.
Yeah. I'm actually reading over the drives. Would it be safe to say that we could consider the professor himself to be a valuable commodity that we'd use in the future?
Totally. Valuable commodities could also be things that might help you get the professor out of there or get to the professor. There's lots of, that in itself is a little broad. It just,
Yeah, no, I was trying to pick drives. I'm just going to assume that at some point we're going to hijack like some kind of police vehicle or something to get us out of here.
It's possible.
Also, I think you can anticipate that create or modify a device critical to the team's success. It's definitely within your wheelhouse.
Yeah.
Yeah, that might be a go-to when you don't know what to pick.
I mean, you may not do that, but you may. So
Oh,
And remember, it's not always
I
created. It could be modified too. So it could be like, oh, we need to break into this. There's this big security panel. Okay, I'm going to screw with it until we get in. That's technically modifying it, right?
Okay.
Yeah. So.
Just like I may give critical advice to help an ally succeed, but I may not.
But you may not. And
Doesn't this feel like
one thing that's important about the drives too is that you get credit for trying to do the thing. So some of them, it's kind of success, and what you're trying to do may be implied, but a lot of times it's not. So like for that example, well, let's say that you gave critical success to somebody to help them, but they didn't succeed. That's okay. You still tried to do it, so you still get XP for that. The other ones like pilot your ship through dangerous territory. I mean, you kind of have to do the piloting thing, so it implies that you succeeded at some level in doing that. So some of them, you know, but like I said, it's more about attempting to do it than being successful necessarily. Okay, so it looks like you guys all have 2. Let's go ahead and real quick go through each one. So Vector, why don't you go through yours that you picked?
Give critical advice to help an ally succeed and see a rational plan through to its successul end. So,
cool. So that means you need to do a plan at some point, otherwise you're never going to get credit for that. So
the plan is we're going to go in and we're going to take that alley that's in the back, and I know that the professor's office is in the building that's right over there, and we're going to sneak in.
Is that the plan?
By the front gate. And then we'll talk to him. We'll rationalize with them.
Okay. Cool. All right. Valoric, why don't we go over the 2 that you picked?
Am I muted? No. I picked create or modify a device critical to the team's success. Take a valuable commodity for your future use.
Cool. Okay. All right. And Plex, what do you got?
And you've got free someone from a real or figurative imprisonment and protect someone from imminent danger.
Cool. All right. That sounds reasonable. And Fabian?
pilot your ship through dangerous territory. Take control of another vessel, not your own.
All right, cool. All right, good deal. All right, so you guys are in the floating city. You're in the academy. You are. So the plan was, Vector. Do you want to talk about the plan a little bit more, or are you good with? We're just going to go in this alley and get to him. Ash?
I'm sorry. Somebody sneezed. I didn't catch it all.
Oh, so I want to start off with giving you an opportunity to come up with a plan. I mean, I know you kind of mentioned a little bit. I mean, do you want to come up with more?
Sure.
So let's assume that he is in an area with some security that you'll have to deal with, either to bypass it or whatever. You know generally where he is. He might move around a little bit within where he's at, so you're going to have to find exactly where he is. But it's medium to low security. So
okay. So we'll take the Hyperloop from the bay to the science facility, and then I happen to know the place where I would go out. Actually, maybe with one or more of you guys when I was a student here, where it was a facility that they would go in and sort of like a lounge for the teachers, and I know the passcode to get in that way.
Okay.
Granted, that was maybe several years ago, so the passcode could be complete garbage, but you know what? We've got people here who might be able to figure it out.
That's true. That's true. All right, cool.
So then once we get in there, we should probably try to convince him that, but if he doesn't want to be convinced, then, we might have to, that's why we've got a robot with us. So.
All right, cool. Okay. So you guys can easily get onto this Hyperloop and get over to the science building without any incident. You do notice that it is not terribly busy here right now. We'll say that you picked a time when there's maybe there's some kind of a break or something like a spring break, the equivalent of that. So it's a little bit less population here right now. And stellar break. There you go. So we're you guys are able to get to the science building, no problem. It's this big, imposing, probably 17-story building, and all these buildings are interconnected with multiple bridges and other conveyances to get from building to building. And this is kind of a so there's like a main central building, which probably has like dorms and general like auditoriums and things for pretty much all students, athletic facilities, whatever. And then there's like little spokes that come out. Each of the kind of the specialty areas, like this science building would be one of those spokes. So this isn't the main part of it, but it's connected. And they're all interconnected. If you imagine like a wheel, maybe, right? Like there's different spokes. So so this is on the kind of the outside of the whole floating city thing. And sure enough, you are able to get into the lounge. Your code does work.
Cool. So I also just realized that I have a move that I should probably roll for that, which is called Sound Approach.
Okay.
And I will spend 1 reserve and roll plus my int.
Okay.
So I don't know how you want to roll. I have some dice here, or if
we have, okay. So yeah, we have a roll for your party thing that we can use, which allows you to roll online. I thought I had that on here. Did I not have it on here? Doesn't look like I did. No, I didn't. I will get that for next time. So for tonight, you guys can just roll dice and just tell me what you get. But I will have an online. I guess I have to figure out how to get it. I forgot. Unless you guys know how to do it.
Yeah, I can do it real quick. I'll post one up.
Okay, let's do that. Let's do that. And we'll just keep the same one for the whole game. So everybody just make sure that you pick a different color so that we can tell whose rolls are whose. Let me fix this. Have you guys all used roll for your party before?
Yep.
I know Michael has. Okay. Let's see all these.
The Yurdi present Chamois. I really love those names.
All right, cool. I'm going to put this in the document so that we'll have it for next time too. Okay. All right, cool. All right, so everyone go ahead and pick a color there. You can use the same color as your character and the keeper if that is easier. Or whatever, I don't care. Just pick something that, like I said, you can tell them apart. And then, yeah, whenever you're ready, we'll have our first roll.
I'm gonna roll these blue dice right here, and hopefully that's okay.
Yep, fine with me.
Maybe.
One more thing while he's taking care of this. So protocol-wise, if you want to aid somebody, you need to say before they roll. So if you guys want to help each other, just mention it before they actually do the rolling. So
this sound approach probably when we were making the plan is what this was related to.
Yeah.
And so I got a 9 plus my 1 intelligence is a 10. So that means that one ally of your choice adds +1 ongoing to a specific move until they fail. So I would like to have Plex use his knowledge, or no, actually, let's do Valeric to be able to use his mastery of the sciences to sort of communicate with this other professor who's a scientist as well, that it's important that he come with us so that this is given out to the rest of the rest of human population.
Okay, so the way this move works is that you have to pick a specific move that you're giving them a bonus to. So what move do you think that would be?
I don't know. What move would that be?
Well, so what you're describing sounds like it could be negotiate.
The guy that doesn't like people. Let's have him negotiate. But maybe they're speaking the same language. That's what I'm hoping.
Right. What I would advise here is to pick a move that you think people are going to be using or someone's going to be using a lot. Like that move may happen one time. So you might want to pick something that, I mean, if that's what you want, that's fine. I'm just suggesting that maybe pick something that's going to be rolled more than once since you're giving them an ongoing
Okay, well, then
bonus.
I have a question for you. So having been to this school, what types of things might I run into that would be useful?
Run into meaning like obstacles to getting, okay.
There's going to be a security checkpoint that we need
Yep.
to blah, blah, blah,
There's going to be robots, security robots. There's
Yeah.
going to be security devices such as like energy fields or not traps per se, but like, laser beams that might shoot at you, things like that. I mean, it depends on how much you guys screw up when you're trying to see. So they have a lot of measures at their disposal, but they're usually disabled unless there's a problem.
So they're sort of like automated defenses, and then robots come out of the walls. And
Yep.
Okay. So, yeah, that's going to put a cramper on the frat parties for sure.
Yeah. Or enhance them. I don't know. It depends on the party.
Yeah.
So if I were to like hack the computer, what would I be using in order to hack?
Probably in your case, create device for now.
Okay.
If you get like the sabotage move, which that sounds like you want to get later, that would be probably better for that situation. But for now, yeah.
So why don't we do that? Let's give Valeric a bonus to his create device.
Okay. So that bonus lasts until you fail. So if you get a 6 or less on a create device roll, that bonus will end.
Okay.
So cool. All right. Excellent. Now.
Oh, I'm sorry. It's a +1, right?
+1, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yes.
So real quick, just so we kind of get in the habit of this, does that trigger a driver relationship for you? Either of you.
Give critical advice to help an ally succeed.
Sounds good
So
to me.
basically, I had the rundown on the computer codes, apparently. Yeah. So I offered that information to you, and so that was a critical information. And then get the very best out of Valeric's abilities. This, I don't know, maybe.
Let's just go with the one for the advice thing. I think that makes sense.
Okay.
So you get we get 1 XP for that. What about Valeric?
Yeah, it hits both of my drives, so.
Well, you haven't actually modified anything yet, so you wouldn't get that.
But it's valuable commodity, so he's given me like the access codes and stuff like that, so that I can then more easily hack the system.
Okay, that's fine.
Yeah. Okay.
So you guys each get 1 XP. Mark that wherever that we're tracking that stuff. Okay, cool. Okay, so you've done all that. You've gotten into the lounge that you were trying to get to. You do not immediately see Professor Emmer in there. Now what?
Where could he be?
Well, I will go into the systems and see where he's last logged in. I'm sure there's passcodes to go from one room or another. Or there's also surveillance tapes that are probably tracking everybody. I would also want to make it so that any surveillance protocols ignore us. So those are 2 different things that I'm trying to do.
Okay, all right. So it sounds like we want to take a look at this create device. So one of the abilities, or one of the options with create device is to modify an existing device, which sounds like what you're doing. So I have to give you some requirements for you to be able to do that. So let's take a look at that. Okay, so I think that you will need help from Plex, because Plex knows about security systems and stuff, being a bodyguard robot. And that should be easy enough since she's already there with you. You will need to deconstruct one of the robots on site. You'll need parts from that robot to do this. And the best you can manage is a lesser unreliable version, meaning that if a human finds out what's going on, they can override what you did. So those are the 3 requirements / stipulations.
Okay. So am I rolling now?
Not yet, because you're going to have to deconstruct a robot.
Okay.
An existing guard robot. You'll have to find one. And...
I'm just kidding.
Well, let's find your robot.
Yeah.
I'm going to take a look around if I can find any security or maintenance robot. Does a maintenance robot is fine, or do you need really security thing?
Probably should be a security robot. I would think that the maintenance robots probably aren't very advanced.
All right. So I'm going to look around to find a security robot.
Okay. So one option to do this would be to use the Analyze move, which allows you to ask questions, which might be kind of handy right now. So why don't we have you roll Analyze, which is a basic move.
All right. What's the stat?
Uses your Wisdom.
Wisdom, perfect.
You're great at, right?
Yeah, I have a flat 0.
Okay.
And reroll. I have a mighty 6.
All right. So the question is,
in order to aid, you have to do it beforehand. You have to
correct. But the leader has reserve they can use to give people bonuses after the roll. That's why their move is particularly useful. So if you want to turn that into a 7,
absolutely,
you can spend one of your reserve. Okay. So how do you help Plex figure this out?
I think I was about to turn into like a full classroom with a class in session. You just said, no, not that way, that other way. Oh yeah.
All right, does that work for you?
Yeah.
Okay, so that gives you a 7, which is a partial success. So that's good. So that allows you to ask one question off of the list under Analyze. So go ahead and take a look at that list and see which one you want to ask.
I think it will be what here is useful or valuable to me.
Okay, all right. So sure enough, you're looking down a couple of different hallways outside of the lounge and before you ran into that classroom, and you do see a pair of security robots kind of marching in lockstep with each other with their kind of rifles stuck up in the air, like they're kind of in a little march. And they're just walking down the hallway, kind of in your general direction. Not like rushing towards you, just, you know.
Well, this is mostly a military academy after all.
So you found your robots.
All right.
And part of that move, by the way, is that you get +1 forward to dealing with it. So if you do something with these robots, Plex will get a +1.
All right. I will. Okay, I have 2 ideas in my head. I'm going to go with a crazy one. I'm going to walk up to those robots and say, "Oh, there's a problem in this classroom. I need your help." And yeah, try to convey just one of them. Like just one will be enough, and try to lure it into the classroom for help.
So you're trying to split them up, basically.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay, all right. So this sounds like Defy Danger using charisma to me.
Yep.
So exactly. Let's roll that and see how you do.
And I have that +1 from
yeah. So this will be a total of a +2 because your charisma is normally a +1. Yeah.
I also have the origin networked, so when interacting socially with robot, I cannot get worse than a 7 and 9.
Great. That's can be handy.
I have 14.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So you legitimately. So one of them turns and looks into this classroom and kind of goes in there to kind of see what's going on. The other one is just staring at you.
All right. I do the one that just staring at me. I do compliment him. It's chassis. It's really sleek. You're doing good.
It just kind of looks around like it doesn't know what to do.
All right. So, hey, Valeric, I've got what you needed.
I immediately go to start dismantling it.
Okay. So
yeah, the best way you have to help us, just bear with us. Let us take you piece apart. It'll be all right.
what
It's
is your
great.
designation? It starts asking you questions about who you are, why you're here, but you can just ignore it if you want. You can distract the robot, right, while he's doing his thing. So, okay. So what we're going to do, since you don't have a move to dismantle stuff, we're going to just have you defy danger using your int, and see if you can figure out how to extract this part without causing too much trouble.
I think I'm definitely aiding here.
You are definitely aiding him, yeah. So you have a regular relationship with him or a special?
Regular.
Okay, so you're getting a +1 from Plex.
I got like 12 or something.
Okay, that's pretty good. Okay, so yeah, so you definitely get the parts that you need without completely destroying this robot, which would be a big problem for you guys at this point. Yeah, so you definitely got the parts that you needed, and you can go do your thing now. So where? And here's a question: what's Vector? What are Vector and Fabian doing during all this?
Maybe we're, I don't know, are we actually going on, are we going on a fake donor tour? Or are we just
I
going
think
to...
Memory Lane is going through the, well, I don't know. Because maybe we would need to stick close by. So I was going to suggest that we maybe wandered off a little bit. But
okay. You don't have to be doing anything specific you don't want. I just thought I'd give you the opportunity to, if you wanted to do something. Okay, well, let's go back to Valeric then, since he's the one who's going to be tinkering around with the security system. So now that you've got the part that you need and you've got help from Plex, you've satisfied all the requirements, so you can roll if you want. And you get a +1, by the way, from the plan from Vector.
I rolled a 7.
Okay, so that is a partial success. Okay, so I have to give you an additional requirement. Okay. Do you want to use the one for your master machines to mark use of your specialized tools? Or I can give you a different one, so that's an option for you.
Oh, master machines.
Yeah,
that would use all my uses, right?
Yeah, so because of the partial success, I have to give you an additional requirement. So what I would do is pick another one from this list, but you could replace it with that if you want to. Like whatever I give you, could replace it. If I say it's going to take days, you could say, oh, I'm going to mark all uses of my tools instead of that requirement, right?
Right.
If you want to, I'll pick one from the list and you can decide if you'd rather replace it with the other one. So I'm going to think okay, so I give you those 3. So yeah, we'll say that you're going to have to bribe one of the network technicians to look the other way. So it's going to cost you a credit.
All right, I'll spend the credit.
Okay, cool. Okay, now you got the thing. So you have managed to break into the system, and you have given yourself privileged access, and you are able to manipulate pretty much whatever it is you want to do at this point until someone discovers you.
So yeah, so my two things that I want to do was, 1, that the security systems would not recognize us, and 2, the location of Joe Schmo.
The Professor Amaron, okay. All right, so so you're looking at the footage on the security cameras, and you do notice him traveling through, different places over the past. We'll say you went back maybe an hour or 2 to try to figure out where he is, and you are able to track him through various places in the science building. And he is currently in a secured lab And that's where the last place that you saw him go into. And the cameras still show him being in there as of, 3 minutes ago.
I tell the group on our comm link. I tell the group.
Okay.
Um,
So that the lab is about 5 stories up from where you are now. It's about in the middle of the building, so maybe a little bit lower than the middle of the building. And it's in a pretty secure area. You can, with the access that you have now, you'll be able to get yourself past any kind of physical things. Like you can get through doors. You can make it so that if there's any, your impression of looking at the system is that any kind of like gas or lasers and that kind of stuff has to be activated by the security personnel. They're not automatically turned on. So none of that stuff's going to bother you guys anyway, because at this point you haven't alerted anybody that you're causing trouble. So you can avoid all that stuff. The only part that might be tricky is there's definitely going to be guards nearby, like human guards. And there could also be robots lurking about. So you'll have to somehow deal with them. But other than that, you should be good.
should I go with you, or should I monitor the situation?
Yeah, I think it makes sense to monitor the situation from here. Can you produce a key card or something for us to use, or I guess you could just do it from here remotely?
Yeah.
Yeah, he can let you into anything until, like I said, if his presence gets discovered, then he'll be shut off. But until then, he can definitely do that.
But you paid the administrator a credit to go for a walk and get some coffee, though, right?
Something like that.
Yeah.
All right.
There's more than one, though, unfortunately. It's not just one guy. So, yeah. So you're going to stay put. The rest of you are going to head up to the lab. Is that the idea?
So we hit the elevator, head up 5 floors.
Okay. All right. So you're able to get up there. Now, there are some people in the elevator with you. They look like they're just
Students?
Yeah, students or faculty or something. They're not bothering you or anything. But the idea is, even though this place is on break, there are still people around. So just not as many as normal. All right, so you're able to get up to the, we'll say, the 5th floor, and you arrive, and the Valoric is giving you kind of the basic, like, how you get there. Although some of you probably remember how to get there from before when you were here, and so you can get there pretty easily. Before you would get to the lab, however, you do notice that there's a security checkpoint with a couple of guards, like human guards.
Okay. Do I know a back way around, or do we have to get these guys?
You'd have to somehow get past these guys.
So is this sort of a higher, I guess this would be a higher security lab? Maybe
yeah, definitely. Yeah. You notice also that these guards have these pins on their uniform that indicate that they are in the Imperial military. So they're not just like normal security guards.
Ooh. Well,
it's unusual to see them here. I will say that your characters are probably struck by that.
Okay. Well, let's go talk to them. I'm a noble.
Okay.
These guys are guards.
All right. So when you approach, they kind of stand up straight, and you get the idea that they probably don't get a ton of people trying to get past them. So they seem a little, like taken aback a little bit by seeing you guys approach. And yeah, they stand up straight and say, "State your business."
At ease, at ease. We're looking for Professor Emeron, and we were told he's in here. We were asked to take him over to the science head minister.
I don't have any record of that here. They're looking through their whatever they have, little data pad of.
Maybe they could pull up that record.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I insert the record in there.
All right. Very interesting, very interesting. There must have been an update or something. They're looking at each other like this is kind of weird that all of a sudden that happened, but okay. That they seem convinced by it, so they will let you in. So they kind of lower this field that you saw that you actually didn't see till you got up close to it. And they open up this little kind of physical gate to let you through. And they're definitely eyeing this robot that's with you.
Don't worry, he's my bodyguard.
Mm.
He is an Imperial droid, so.
That's true. Yeah, so you guys can get to, you see this big kind of glass encased kind of octagonal room. It's pretty big though, and you can it's transparent enough to where you can see what's happening inside. So there's all these consoles and tables and all kinds of devices that your character's probably not familiar with. In the very center of this room is this kind of sphere that shows different star systems and planets and crap like that. So kind of a 3D rendering of the known universe that your characters are familiar with.
So we've sort of got a window with a console looking out into this room with this.
Well, no, so they let you into this secured area, right? And as soon as you get past it, you see this giant octagonal, completely transparent thing. That's the lab. And so he's in there. All the stuff I described is inside of this octagonal, transparent thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and he appears to be by himself in this giant lab.
Is there a way to communicate to him in there? Like punch a button and talk to through a comm?
Yeah.
Sorry, you said yes?
Yes.
I so should have been there. I say that. I so should be there. That is like, what can you look? Do you see that console over there? What's on the screen over there? That looks really interesting. So I'm totally deviating you from from the plan. I'm trying to like trying to get you to investigate just cool tech for me.
We've got to stay on track. We got to get this guy out of here.
Yeah, but the look, do you see that like prototype farm?
I think Fabian is the only one with even a prayer of knowing what any of this stuff is. So I don't know. All right. So what do you guys do? You've got this intercom. You can talk to the professor.
Professor Imran.
He kind of, after a moment, he kind of like, he's looking around and yes, who is that?
You may not remember me, but I had your class 10 years ago.
All right. What are you doing in here? How did you get past the guards?
Well, that's just the thing. We have something very important to discuss with you. We came across some knowledge about the star, the sun, and what that means.
You should come inside. No point in the guards overhearing this whole conversation. So he hits a button and this door opens in the big sphere thingy, or the big octagonal deal.
Okay, I'll go in.
Okay. Is Fabian and Plex going in as well?
If Fabian's going in, I'm going to.
Okay. Yep. Michael, yes?
Yep.
Okay. All right. So you guys go in and you're getting a closer look at all this stuff. And there's just a ton of equipment in here. None of it makes a whole lot of sense to you guys. But you do get a good look at this sphere, this 3D thing in the middle of the room, which, like I said, is a representation of the star systems that are, common knowledge. The professor is at one of the consoles just doing something or other, and he says, yes, what is this important knowledge that you have for me?
Well, we understand that you know when the star is going to go supernova.
Ah, that's preposterous. What are you talking about? She's very obviously trying to feign ignorance.
The Emperor knows that you know, and the Emperor's daughter told me that you know. And through that calculation, we need to, people, conspiracy theorists have always come up with these ideas that it was going to go, but you actually know, and you have some evidence that you know. And we want evidence.
I don't know what you're talking about. Perhaps you should go.
So I will go ahead and let the robot provide some leverage in this situation.
Okay.
Yeah. I do have a move for that.
You have a very interesting move. I'm curious to see if you would use that here.
Largely in charge, yeah. I'm just reading the move over to see if it really. I don't know. I'm going to use that. I think I'm going to try to be a little bit more friendly here.
Okay. The move he's referring to requires him to break something as a show of force, which might be an interesting choice in this environment.
Yeah, not yet.
All right.
If things go sour on me,
sure.
I'll to that.
Keep that as
No, Professor, I know you're under a lot of stress, knowing such important thing must be killing you right now. But we just need your cooperation. I mean you must be itching to just be able to say something to free yourself from such burden.
I wish I had any idea what you're talking about. Perhaps I should get the guards in here to remove you since you won't leave on your own. And you notice that while he's saying this stuff to you guys, he's kind of gesturing towards his head, which seems really odd behavior given what he's saying. You don't know why he's doing that.
I think I can get the picture.
I'm sorry. Yeah. Can I start trying to download whatever data he's working on from my position?
You have no access to that from there. It's like super locked down. You could do it inside the lab. You could do it.
It's like a local server or something.
Yeah, it's super locked down.
Can I walk Plex into how to do that? Like walk him through?
Yeah, you could try that.
Yeah, maybe, but maybe someone else. I might be a little bit occupied. Okay, well, just before that, Professor, can you? I just want to know something about that star over here. Just to point his vision out of my sight.
Okay.
And well, if he's looking there, I'll gesture to Fabian to the same point where he tapped his head, and like some gestures to like follow my lead.
Okay, what do you think, Fabian?
I'll just ever so slightly nod to indicate that I picked up the message.
Okay. Says, oh well, this star is blah blah. He just goes on about it, whatever, into way too much detail.
And I ask way too much question about it.
Yeah.
While doing so, I place myself so I have his attention away from Fabian.
Okay. That's easy enough to do. All right.
So, okay. So he kept gesturing. I'm assuming. See, like if he kept gesturing at his head, I'm assuming that he's, I don't know, bugged in some way. At least that's the thinking I'm going through, and that he's not at liberty to really like fully talk freely with us the way he might perhaps would want to. Do I have any way of like, oh boy, creating some kind of like.
One thing that might be helpful to you here is to ask some questions with the analyze move. I think you might be able to find out more of what's going on.
Yeah, that's a good call. I'll go. Well, I'm not really that perceptive, but I'll give it a whirl anyway.
Give it a whirl.
I'll
say that Plex is helping you. I think that's legit because he's distracting the professor.
Okay.
I would
+1.
help him also because I'm standing there trying to communicate with him as well. So.
Okay. Well, why don't we say that Vector is helping Fabian while Plex kind of distracts the professor?
Okay. So should Vector roll first then?
Nope. He doesn't have to roll anything. He just gives you +1.
Oh, okay. Fantastic.
The downside is if you fail, something bad also happens to him. So you don't always want to aid. In this situation, I think it's pretty low risk. But,
yeah, especially since I'm not the most wisest person here. So let's roll and see what happens.
Yeah.
Oh, okay, that was interesting. Happened. So unfortunately, I've generated a 6 total.
Okay. Well, Vector has one more reserve, I believe.
Yep.
If he wants to use the last one.
I use it.
All right. Okay. So that gives you a 7. So that's a partial success. You get to ask one question off of the analyze list.
Yeah. I'm going to say ask what here is not what it appears to be.
Okay. So you notice that, so as I mentioned, half of his head is like cyber, the professor. You notice that there is this very obvious imperial symbol on some part of his cybernetic gear there that is unusual. You don't normally see that. Normally there's either corporate symbols or no symbols at all. It's odd that there's an imperial symbol on his cyberware.
Mm-hmm.
You're not sure what that is, but it's it's definitely obvious. You see it.
We all see this, right?
Yeah. I mean, the two of you see it. Probably not Plex because he's busy doing
I'm going to turn away from him and communicate to Valeric and say, hey, he's got one of those imperial symbols on his cybernetics, on his head. Is this something that, and he keeps pointing to it.
So I'll say that Valeric has cameras that can see in there, so you can see the thing they're talking about. So if you want to maybe do an understand move to see what that is, since it's a new thing you haven't run into before, we'll say.
8.
Okay. So it's partial success. So it is definitely you think a surveillance device of some kind.
Mm-hmm.
What it does, you're not 100% sure, but that's...
I relay that. Can I attempt to maybe not hack it, but like infiltrate it to try to kind of better understand it?
You could if you were there.
Okay.
But you, based on your knowledge of how this stuff typically works, is it might harm him to do that, unless you were very careful.
Oh, I am very careful.
Is this like a module that somebody could just like pluck out of?
Probably not without causing some kind of harm.
Okay.
So I think I should go in there.
Okay.
I'm gonna head in.
Yeah. Are we able to communicate with each other or without like, you know, if I can communicate with people without being detected by the professor, I'm going to say.
Yeah, well, if you take a couple steps away, I mean, he seems like he's pretty distractible. So Plex has him locked down for the moment.
Okay, I'll do that, and I'll say, people, I think we're going to need to secure him in a place where we can disentangle whatever's monitoring him in his cyberware. or perhaps set up some kind of like a really small controlled burst to temporarily neutralize the the tech in there long enough for us to be able to, I don't know, maybe rig up some kind of like false signal that the sensor could transmit, and then we could speak freely with him.
The thing is, like, if we want to remove him from there, I mean, it could be some sort of like fail-safe device, you know?
Well, like an explosive.
Well, I was thinking of just putting a bag on his head and then marching him out of here, or at least bring him to you.
It might be. Well, I'm on my way over right now, but it might be like a proximity thing. It might be controlled as to where he can go.
Is there any way we can tell that that's true or false by look?
Somebody else could try to examine it, and if they do better than a partial success, I could tell you more stuff about it. Does either one of you guys want to give that a shot?
I could try it. I'm not very good, but I can try it. And still a partial success, 7.
Okay. The only other thing I think that you would notice, Plex, is that there is a signal being generated from it that's going somewhere. You're able to kind of figure out an energy signature sort of coming out of this thing.
Okay.
So it's good that my utility belt has a dampener in it, if that's possible. Is that am I using that correctly?
Sure. Why
not? So if we're all sort of walking around this big holographic image, maybe I'll just come behind him with this dampener and sort of affix it to his metal, since he can't really feel it, right? But I'll just kind of slip it up there and stick it on his head so he can't see it. So
Okay. So go ahead and mark a use of your utility belt.
Okay.
And then you have the thing. Okay. So, all right. So you'll have to be careful about how you do this, because if he sees you, you don't know how he's going to react if he sees you trying to do this. So I'm going to have you defy danger using your dex and see if you can be quick and sneaky about this.
Oh,
I think I'm still aiding here.
Yeah, I think that's fair. I think you see what he's trying to do. You see him pull out the dampener, and you're like, "Oh, okay." And so you try to position
distracted.
him. Yeah, totally.
Yeah, yell that. And I have a special relationship with you, so it's +2.
Oh, I don't. Yeah.
Oh, okay, cool. Okay.
All right, and I forgot we have the dice here, so let me do this.
Yep.
Do the thing.
So I've got a 7 plus my 2 for dex, +1 for
+2.
+2 for aid. So that puts me at 11.
Awesome. Okay, so you definitely do it,
Professor. You have something here on the other side.
Yeah, so you definitely do it. You are able to. So the dampener will cut off the signal, which you do without any problem. As soon as you do that, actually we'll say a couple seconds later, you notice that, we'll say that, well, Fabian, what are you doing while they're doing this?
Oh, well, I've,
Probably.
I think I'm just, I'm sorry.
Go ahead.
I was just going to be on standby unless you have a better suggestion.
So I'm going to say, so Fabian, you're just kind of looking around, maybe you're kind of looking at some of the consoles and some of the gear and just kind of, just browsing around. And you notice that the guards that were at the guard post, they're kind of standing up and kind of looking at each other and kind of looking in your guys' general direction all of a sudden.
Okay. I'll just indicate to the team that the guards are getting restless.
And at that moment, you guys also see Valeric coming. down the hallway. So he's approaching the. What happened to Michael? Valeric is approaching the guard station at this point. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Sorry.
What happened?
I clicked on the wrong button.
The only thing I wanted you missed is I said Valeric was coming about the same time, so you can physically see him walking down the hallway that towards this guard station. So what do you guys do, if anything?
We've got to rush these guys out while Valeric is running in and probably dealing with the guards. I think it's a good opportunity in the confusion to start sort of rushing this guy out of here. So I grab one arm and I'm Flex, grab the other arm.
Okay. Yeah, all right.
Yes, sorry, Professor, we gotta do this.
He's all he's taken by surprise and flailing about a bit. Okay, so you're dragging him out of this lab. What is so? Well, let's go to Valeric. So you're about to hit this guard station. The guards are looking in the direction of the lab, so they're not really looking at you at the moment. And you see the professor's arms kind of like they're obviously your compatriots have grabbed a hold of him.
So I'm going to like run back in the opposite direction where I came.
Okay.
Like a good distance, like
to the elevator.
Yeah. Well, no, like not in a direction that I know that I think they might go in. And I'm gonna pull a like the fire alarm type thing.
Okay, we can say that near the elevator there's like a T intersection and you can just turn right or left and do that. Is that what you're trying to do?
Yeah.
Okay, no problem. You can do that. You know how the security system works, obviously, since you were in it earlier. So you do some stuff. Did you want to do something more than that, or is that basically you just want to raise an alarm?
Well, I mean, if I can hack into anything, I'll do that. But otherwise, if I only have a few seconds, I'm just trying to get the attention off of them.
Okay. Okay. So what I'll say is, I'll say that basically what you're doing is aiding them in trying to get out of there, because that's essentially what the spirit of what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Okay. All right. Cool. All right. So the professor isn't really resisting you guys. I mean, he's maybe trying to, but the robot certainly is a lot stronger than he is. Yeah, so you're able to get him out of the lab.
I'll tell him that I put a dampener on his head too, so that he knows.
Why would you do that? You're a fool. You've alerted them. Blah blah. He's ranting about the Empire and the Emperor, and you've doomed us all and all this stuff.
At least he's honest now.
Because you fool, that signal is the only way they can keep track of me. As soon as it's cut, they know. And yeah, so the guards will run towards you guys with their guns out.
I got my laser pistol out.
Yeah.
I'm gonna blow one of them.
Well, let me just try something before.
Okay.
I'll give you the professor to yourself and advance a bit before them and just whip out my matter gun from my arm. Just
What's that look
like? Oh, appearance. That's important.
Private howitzer.
Whatever you want. It doesn't matter. I mean, if you can't think of anything, that's okay.
Yeah, I'll give a better description next game.
Okay, all right. So your gun's out. Okay, then what?
Yeah, my gun's out. And I think I grab like something near and twist like something metallic. Try to twist it and say something like, "Hey guys, probably not worth your life."
Okay, sounds like you want to use larger in charge. Is that?
Exactly.
Excellent. All right, let's do that. So you're going to roll plus your strength.
I am.
Yeah.
+1. Oh, 4.
I'm going to give you the +1 from Valeric helping. So he's also the noise and stuff is distracting them partially as well. So
5.
5 is not a great turnout. Unfortunately, you grab a hold of this thing And what you managed to grab a hold of was this transformer, which shocks the hell out of you, given your metal and stuff. Whoops. I grabbed the wrong thing. And so you take this big charge from this thing. So I'm going to have you take a D10 damage. So you're going to roll a D10. And it ignores your armor.
Oh, no.
You get fried a bit.
Ouch. A whooping 8.
Okay, so you take 8 off your vitality.
That's half of it. Oh.
Yeah, big zap. All right, so they are also drawing their guns, obviously. Fabian, you are not currently grabbing the professor. What do you want to do?
Right. So I guess. Oh boy. Well, I guess if the guards are pulling their guns, I'm gonna have to do likewise, aren't I? Assuming I was able to take a gun in.
Yeah, you guys are all armed or whatever you need. Yeah, that's fine. They didn't stop you. Like I said, this is low to medium security. They're not worried about you guys having guns.
Oh, right. Right. So I'll just go ahead and try to get the drop and shoot and hit one of the guards.
Go for it. So you're going to use the shoot move, which is rolling plus your dex.
Yeah. Oh, 11. How about that?
Excellent. So an 11 is a complete success. So you do your damage. So go ahead and roll your damage.
Oh, actually, that's a 12 actually, but anyway.
Okay. So you're going to roll, and then you're going to add, I think, 1 for your gun to the damage.
Cool. And I just realized I didn't add a D8 yet, so let me submit that. All right, and now I'm rolling.
Okay.
8 damage.
Okay. All right, so these guys have a little bit of body armor, but not enough to withstand that. So one of the guards goes down in a heap. So you blasted one of them center mass, and he drops to the floor. So there's one guard left. And since Ash just returned, we'll allow him to do something if he wants. So you've got one guard down. Fabian blasted one of the guards, and there's one left.
I'll shoot at the other one.
All right. So you're going to use the shoot move. You roll plus your dex.
Okay. Seven.
Okay. 7 damage. All right. So you take out the other guard.
No. I got a 7.
Okay. Sorry. So that's a partial success. So what that means is that you will do your damage, but you have to pick. There's a consequence or a thing under the shoot move that you'll have to pick from.
So I think can I come up with a consequence on my well,
there's a list. You're just going to pick from the list.
Oh, okay. I don't have that open right now, so.
The basic moves are in the same as your playbook, so just scroll down a bit.
Okay.
But basically, use an ammo, minus 1d6 damage, or get into a face danger.
Okay. Select anyone from the following: mark 1 ammo or recharge. Move to get the shot. Okay, so I'm going to. I think the professor will have tripped and fallen over because I was holding on to him.
Okay.
He's on the ground. So, but I do get my shot off, and I managed to do. Let's see. 5 damage.
Okay. Did you take the minus 1d6? Is that what you did?
No.
Oh.
He fell. I was doing the move to get the shot, put yourself in danger.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
I figured I'm putting the professor in danger by he's tripped and fallen, and so now I have to help him back up.
Okay. So no problem. So you hit this guard, and he's badly wounded, but he's still up, right? So like I said, they have some body armor which absorbs some of the blast, but he's wounded and kind of falls to one side, but he's not unconscious or anything. And when that happens, you notice that these on the ceiling, these lasers engage, and so they were just kind of sitting there, and they're like zzz, and move into position, and so they're getting ready to just pepper that area with lasers.
Well,
so
fortunately, Valeric has hacked into these things so that they're not going to attack us, right?
Well, that was the case. However, he's not there anymore. He's running around with you guys now.
Well, I mean,
Okay.
the role was that the security systems wouldn't.
Somehow I've lost audio again.
Oh.
The idea was that the role wouldn't, that
That's
the security
bizarre.
systems wouldn't recognize us. That was my initial. Like, if I knew I had to stay at the computer terminal, then I would have stayed there. But
You don't, but it's so this is targeting the area where the professor is.
okay.
So it just so happens that your your ally is also right next to him.
Okay.
So it looks like what's going to happen is it's just going to try to spray the whole area with lasers. So they're in danger, which means that you guys have one opportunity to get them out of this situation before something bad happens. So, sorry. So Vector can get himself out of this situation, or someone can help get him out of it. So what I'd recommend is look at your drives relationships, see if there's a good other person to do this that might help you guys get XP for it, or he can just do it himself, however you guys want to handle that.
Yeah, I'm good to do that.
You're going to do it. All right. What are you doing?
I think I'm just going to grab both the professor and him and run the hell out of the zone.
Okay. Okay. You can do that. So there's a couple of different ways we can kind of represent that. You can use your Avowed Protector move, which basically would defend them. Or you can just do like a Defy Danger using maybe Strength to grab them both and get them out of there quickly. Or
I
Dex.
think Defy Danger makes more sense with Strength.
Okay. So actually, I think quickly is the issue here, so we're going to have to use Dex for this.
I have no issue with that.
Okay.
But the dice do.
Uh-oh.
Well, it seems to change how I rolled Snake Eyes.
Okay. Okay. All right. So the lasers shower the area. You are able to kind of keep them from getting hit with anything. The professor, unfortunately, does get hit with a laser, which knocks him unconscious. He's not dead, but he's unconscious. Now there's all these security klaxons and stuff going off. So you think that whatever Valoric did earlier is probably going to get undone by some security folks at some point. But that's all that happens as a result. So you are able to shield Vector from any damage, and you don't take any damage. This is more meant to harm biologicals. So it doesn't do anything to you necessarily, although if you stand there for too long, you'll take damage. But for the moment, you're okay, but the professor definitely got knocked out by this.
All right. So, and I'm pretty sure it triggers the relationship Victor needs me to watch their back.
Totally, yeah.
XP.
Yeah. We should actually real quick. Let's pause for a second and go back and look at drives relationships for everybody. So look through what you've got marked. Anything you haven't already gotten XP for. Let's see if you did that.
Oh, protect someone from imminent danger.
Totally. Yep. What about Vector? You got anything? You got the advice one already. I think you already got both your drives already, right?
Well, I think once we've successfully taken this guy out of here, I'll get.
Oh, yeah, that's fair. Let me look at your relationships here. I don't think any of those yet. I think we're close on maybe the Fabian one.
Yeah, I don't think I've
yet.
Yeah, I don't think
Well, I
triggered
did give
anything.
Valeric +1. So
Okay. Did you already get that, or I don't remember if you got XP for that already?
Yeah.
Vector and I must break
Find the way out.
together. Does that work?
We're all gonna get the way out here.
I'm trying to think. What did you guys break together?
Well, I guess he helped me. I don't know.
Get into the system and stuff? Okay.
What's that?
Yeah, get into the system. Okay. I'm okay with that. Let's see. The other two, well, I don't think any of that other stuff has happened yet. All right. Plex, we talked about already. What about Fabian? What about your drive relationships?
I don't think I hit anything actually. Looking over it.
Yeah, we haven't had an opportunity to do either one of your drives.
Yeah, that's kind of a getaway. I picked getaway drives, so that's fine.
Yeah.
And I'm not really keeping Valoric in top shape. I'm not really training Vector and ship duties because we're not on the ship. And I think that's fine. I think my time will come.
Okay. Cool. I just like to do those periodic checkups, like I said, until you guys get more used to doing that. Okay, cool. Let's move on. All right. So what do you guys want to do now? So there's alarms going off. There's let's go back to Valoric real quick. So you've done what you can do at that point. What you hear all these alarms going off, and you heard the shower of kind of lasers go off, and it stopped.
So I'm not nobody's pursuing me. I'm off the radar. It's this other group of people
for the moment.
So
I mean, that could change. But
yeah. So I'm going to try to hack the system, and I want to try to take the security system offline.
Okay. All right. So that sounds like so that sounds like something you should totally be able to do. We'll create device again. I think we'll use that again. So you still have the +1 from Vector, because you're kind of doing the same thing as before. So we'll keep that going. I think I want to make this pretty easy here. You will need to get a key card or something from one of the guards, which there are guards nearby, so that shouldn't be a problem. And I'm going to give you a little bit different thing. I'm going to give you a -1 because someone is working against you. So that's all you have to do. So there's another security person trying to get control of the system, and so you're kind of competing with them. So that'll give you a -1.
Okay. So do I have to roll to get a key card first, or
you may not have to roll, but you will have to get one somehow. Yeah. You could have one of your allies get it for you. They're closer to the guards than you are, but they don't know that you need one.
Well, Comlink, I need a key card from a security.
Okay, so what do you guys think?
Well, does the professor has one?
The professor does not have one, as far as you can tell. He's unconscious. I mean, you can fish through his pockets if you want.
Okay. Well, I'm going to do that quickly. Let's see, there's none.
He has some kind of a key card on him. You don't know if it's the right one.
Okay, I'm still going to throw it across the hallway.
Okay.
So it's like I have it.
Okay. All right. So a security guard gets thrown towards you, Valoric. You want to give that a try?
Yeah.
Okay. All right. It appears to work. So now you just need to roll.
11.
11. All right.
With the -1. So.
Yeah. So that's cool. So you do it. And all right. So you're able to get control of the system again. So what did you want it to do?
I want to take the security system offline, and I want to get the security guards like issue a stand down command.
Okay. Okay. All right. So he's working on that. The rest of you there in the lab, what do you want to do? You still got a guard left who's still technically a threat.
I'll take another shot.
Okay. Sure.
Where's my, okay. That will be that's going to be a 5 total. No, a 6 total, but still not good enough.
Yep. Okay. So we'll just say that he manages to get a shot back at you for a D8 damage.
Okay. I'll roll that now. I've rolled a 4.
All right. So you take 4 minus whatever armor.
I don't think I have any.
Okay.
No, I don't have any armor.
And then Vector? Mr. Vector or Mr. Plex want to do anything about this last guard?
Yeah, I'll shoot him.
Okay.
$13.
That sounds like a good number.
Yep.
So yeah, So go ahead and roll your damage.
Let's see. 1 damage. Pew pew.
Well, plus your doesn't your weapon do 1 extra?
Oh, does it? I'm not sure.
I think so. It's a laser pistol. I think has +1 damage. So all right. So we'll say you take out the last guard.
So that would have been 2 extra, yeah.
Okay. So he's down. So you've taken care of the 2 guards. You imagine that there were more coming. You don't know where that stands based on. But there's no one here right now.
Let's just stay here to find out the response.
Just stay here and just keep fighting guard.
Yeah, we're just running to the elevator and make our way to the hyperloop through the back entrance that we came through.
All right, cool. All right. So just to kind of speed things along here, we'll say that you are able to do that. The hyperloop is still working. It's kind of an automated thing. So you think that it's probably could be shut down by the security system, but since Valeric was able to disable that, it's working. So you're able to get yourself all the way to the landing pad. And so you are within sight of your ship. The what's the ship called here? The Vespera. Vespera? How are we pronouncing that?
Vespera.
Vespera. All right. So you see the Vespera, and you're able to get to it. You don't see that. I mean, there's like a cursory security presence here, but they're not. They don't appear to be looking for you guys or anything. You're still dragging this unconscious professor, though, which is kind of weird. Unless you want to try to conceal him somehow.
I think it is. If the quicker we can get him at the ship, the better. At this point.
Okay. So you want to just like rush the ship, hopefully get past these guards, and then is that the plan?
I think so.
Okay. All right. And you guys are all together, I assume. All right. So what we'll do, I don't want to have all you guys roll for this. So I will have the lead. Who is leading this? Who's the main person that is kind of leading this effort?
Definitely not Valeric.
Yeah, I can go ahead and take it.
I'll run. I'm the leader. I'll run in front, and if they do anything, they'll do it to me, and then you guys can follow behind me.
Okay, cool.
I'm assuming who's carrying Professor Emeron?
Probably me.
Red Robot, yeah. So why don't we do this? I'm going to have Vector roll Defy Danger using Dex to kind of get there quickly. I'm going to have Plex aid you. Basically, the fictional aid, I think that makes the most sense. Like I said, I don't want to have everybody roll separately because that might cause a bunch of complications. So why don't we just have Vector roll with your Dex and get +1 from Plex. Unless you have a special.
Yeah,
plus
two.
Okay.
+2? Okay. So that puts me at 10.
I'm sorry, what was that?
10.
Oh, beautiful. All right. So you get there, no problem. And all of you are able to get to the Vespera. Vespera, sorry. Yeah, so you start firing up the engines, I assume, right?
Mm-hmm.
Let's get the hell out of here. And as you're doing that, you see 4 out in the distance nearby, 4 Imperial fighters appear. And that's where we're going to end for tonight.
Okay.
So, little cliffhanger there. Let's real quick just make sure we didn't miss any more drivers' relationships. I'm going to make this the next thing with the ships is going to be a new scene. So let's see if there's any more.
Free someone for real or figurative.
Sure, go for it. That sounds good. Anyone else have anything we can tag for XP?
I have Fabian must protect me from trouble. I do not think that happened. I must help Plex solve the
actually, I'm going to give you that one, the Fabian one, because they're getting you out of here.
Okay.
So I'll give you that one. I'm willing to be a little flexible on some of these. So
I must help Plex solve a perplexing mystery. I don't think that happened.
I don't think that happened yet.
And so we only get 1 XP for everything per session, right?
Per scene.
Per scene.
Multiple scenes and it really depends. Like if it's a completely different situation, then you could get it twice.
So did I get create or modify a device critical to the team's success twice?
Because, I mean, you basically did the same thing. You hacked into the system twice. So I'm going to say no. So you got it once. I think that's good.
And then take a valuable commodity for your future use.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think we said the professor was a valuable commodity. So.
Totally. Oh, yeah. Totally. Okay. All right. So I think everything else you guys are good on.
Can I make a case that I'm now piloting my ship through dangerous territory? I know it's kind of a...
Not yet.
Yeah,
you definitely will. You definitely
that's
will.
a next session thing. Yeah. Okay.
So the milestone is still going to be active for next time because you haven't quite gotten him out of here yet. Once you deal with whatever this stuff is, and actually leave the area, you'll resolve that milestone. So, all right. So I do want to give you guys.
Fabian must help me find the way out.
Yeah, that's legit. Yeah,
Right.
that's legit. Yeah. All right, so I do want to real quick do the end of session thing. I know we didn't have a full session of like doing stuff, but let's go through this anyway. So there's a special move where you basically ask some questions. It gives you guys an opportunity to rack up a couple more XP. So you guys all have to answer yes to these to get credit for XP. So and these are the special moves that you guys want to follow along here. Did everyone trigger at least one drive?
Yeah.
Not me.
No?
Sorry.
Okay, that's okay. That's okay. We only had kind of a partial session, so that's okay. Did everyone trigger at least one relationship?
Wait, I'm sorry. No, I was looking at the wrong thing.
Okay.
Yes.
Everyone got at least one?
Not me.
No? Okay.
No.
You didn't get any XP?
No, I didn't. Sorry.
That's okay. That's okay. In a full session, you guys will almost certainly get those too. Did you survive despite incredible odds?
Did he take? Okay. Didn't he take Valric to a new place?
I don't think this is a new place. You guys have been here lots of times.
Not this lab though.
Okay, I think that's fair. Actually, that's fair.
So that means.
Does that mean everybody got at least one relationship?
Yeah.
Well,
right? Because the rest of you all got one at least, right?
Yeah, I don't see that one on there though. I see.
I'm sorry, I was looking at Plex.
Yeah, okay.
Plex must push me to try new things. Did that happen?
Well, I don't know if Plex.
Not really.
Yeah, I don't think so.
I was trying to angle on helping Fabian destroy something, but
yeah, some of the stuff will be easier once we have a full session. And that's okay. That's okay. All right. Did you survive despite incredible odds?
we're still alive.
Yeah, I think you guys were just certainly outnumbered, and there was this fancy security system. So I think I'll give you that one. So everyone gets one XP for that. Did anybody undergo a transformation, a physical, mental, or spiritual? I don't think so, but
no.
Make a case for that.
Valric always does.
And finally, did you make a new ally or turn an enemy into a friend?
Yes.
I think so.
Professor.
Yeah, we'll count the professor for that, sure. Okay, so that's two more for everybody. And then the milestone, none of the milestones passed, but if you guys had passed any milestones, you get one each for those. So that's how that works. So, okay, cool. So after a full session, you'll probably hit most of these. So where are we at XP-wise for everybody?
5.
Okay.
I'm at 1.
1.
Yeah.
Should have 2.
All right.
2? Oh, what was my second one?
There
You
were
got at least 2 for the ones we just went through.
Oh, well, okay. I must have missed one then.
Oh,
I just,
so I'm at 6.
Yeah, everybody gets 2 for the stuff we just talked about. So.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. By the way, the ship can also get XP. The only way the ship gets XP is from milestones, but you guys can choose to give some of the ship if you want to. So that's an option that any of you have if you wish to do that. The ship has advances that it can pick up. You guys probably want to talk about that next time. I wouldn't imagine you want to give it away right now, but when you start getting some surplus, you can throw some at the ship if you want. Okay, so I think that's a good stopping place for our action tonight. I know we didn't get a chance to play a whole lot, but we probably jump in a little bit of the action. Let's just spend a few minutes just talking about your impressions about the game, the session, everything else. Let's start with Simon.
I think it's going to be really fun. I like where this is heading.
Okay, cool. All right, cool. Michael?
Yeah, I'm also enjoying the game so far. I like this. I think the relationships. I feel like it was a bit of a challenge for me to really find really quick and really GC applications for how the relationships could fit with the other characters. But given what we have now, I do think we excuse me, have an interesting group, and I kind of like this group of noble misfits and a robot boyfriend, and I think it's an intriguing mix, especially with this epic plot. I'm looking forward to seeing how this plays out.
All right, Ash.
Yeah, I think it's pretty fun. I like my character. So there's a lot of interesting things going on with the sun and everybody's escaping and the Emperor's daughter, and then we have the ship, and we're all from this academy, and so yeah, it's cool.
Okay, all right, and Alejandro.
I think the premise is really interesting. I think our characters have a lot of potential. I'm really excited to see what kind of trouble we create. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the drives and the relationships because I thought the drives would have to tie into the drives would have to tie into the milestones, but now they don't. They just what do we think is going to happen? And given that, I don't think my 2 drives, I will ever need to change my drives. They will always just kind of be those 2 things. And you find a niche, and then I think so. I don't know. There's that, and then the relationships I thought was to kind of establish what the relationships are, but in reality it appears that they are things we need to try to do during a session. And so Vector and I must break something together is kind of not really in line with how my character was. I was thinking more along the lines of a little bit more metaphysical, but I don't know. And then I must help Plex solve a perplexing mystery. I don't know that. I mean, I'm sure that'll come up sometimes, but I don't know that really plays into.
I understand what you're talking about, kind of too. Because really our relationships were when we were asking those questions, and we were really developing sort of these intricate relationships between our characters.
Right.
But these are not necessarily those relationships. These are sort of mechanical nuggets that we're trying to tag during a session.
Yeah. Those are things that we should aim to do between ourselves.
So I don't want to have a big long discussion about this, but the genesis of relationships is from Dungeon World has these things called bonds. I don't know if you guys have played Dungeon World, but bonds work look like this. However, you don't get experience from doing them. You get experience from resolving them. So you get a kind of a one-time thing for getting rid of them. And sometimes they're very hard to bring to bear, especially in a shorter game. So I went through and completely changed them, made new ones, and kind of changed how they work in the system. So that's the genesis. So they are supposed to be a game mechanic thing. They're supposed to also hopefully engender some role-playing opportunities. So that's kind of the idea of them. If you guys want to change between now and next session the ones that you picked based on kind of a better understanding of the system, a better understanding of your character's interplay, that's fine with me. Feel free to take a look at them.
Well, I didn't really like any of the other relationships for my character. For the character, I can see them be valuable for some science characters, but the character that I'm creating, like, I just don't see any of the other ones really working.
Yeah, I had a similar experience where of the 6 that were available for the Ace playbook, like I think only half of them I thought were even really applicable. And I guess that's, you can't really anticipate how every group or in combination of playbooks or whatever will fit. But I do kind of feel similar to what I think Alejandro's or what I'm hearing from Alejandro. And I think one thing that may be helpful for a bit of a course correction over the next couple of weeks is, if we can, I feel like we came up with this initial mission with thinking about like the big Uber plot, but not necessarily the relationships. Like I don't think we took the time to say, okay, what kind of adventure should we set for ourselves where these relationships are going to be kicking in a lot. So perhaps like between now and next week, we might want to take a look again at the character sheet and think about how our characters are supposed to interact, and maybe think about missions or adventures that might evoke those more often. Like, Alejandro, you're saying about how you envision your character and Vector kind of breaking things on a metaphysical level. I mean, I mean, you could spin some kind of like a really kind of like, psychedelic spacey adventures off of that kind of concept if we stop to actually and remember to actually take the time to try that out. I don't know what you think about that.
I think that's interesting. So I was thinking more big picture rather than let's go smash some, windows in it. You know what I mean? Not that's what I was thinking of. It was also kind of given all of the relationships, it was just the one that was most interesting of the ones that just didn't really work for me. You know what I mean? So.
Well, and also it's something, right? Break something. So it may be a tradition. It could be a law. It doesn't have to be a physical object.
We are trying to break open a big conspiracy.
Right.
Yeah, but that's larger. So,
right.
So you get the XP for breaking something, not for working towards the breaking of something. So we're trying to break open this experience. So, or this conspiracy. So like the actions, like working towards like kidnapping this guy, work towards breaking that conspiracy rather than just breaking the security system. You know what I mean? So
there's a really cool mechanic in the game called the Veil. I don't know if anybody's had a chance to play that one, but it's similar to bonds and relationships here. But instead what you do is you ask a question of your character. So you sort of free form, each player is going to write down 3 questions that they want to answer for their character. And if you address that question for your character in the game, then you get a point. If you completely answer that question, then you get 2 XP for that session. And that's a way I think that really attaches it to what am I trying to accomplish with this character? What's my goal? Because you answer those as a question rather than as a mechanical nugget that you try to apply to that question. It's much more direct in that way.
Okay.
Makes sense.
Well, like I said, why don't we, for next session, you guys take a look at other relationships that exist either on your playbook, or hell, look at some other playbooks and see if there's ones that you like that are on other playbooks. And I'll let you swap those out if that's what you want to do. If you find ones and some other playbook that makes sense for your guy, go ahead and grab that and use that instead. Okay. After we play it for a couple sessions, if you're still not satisfied with that, maybe you guys can make your own. I don't want to have you guys doing that right off the bat, because I think you kind of have to experience the system a little bit more, because we've only played for a little bit.
Sure.
So I prefer you guys do that after having a little more experience with the system. Is that okay?
Yeah, that's cool.
Okay.
Yeah, that's reasonable.
So take a look at all the other playbooks. There's all the relationships are different on every playbook. So maybe there's some that speak to you a little bit more on the Jack playbook or the Explorer, or any of those that you guys haven't looked at. I have no problem with that at all.
Cool.
Okay.
Thank you.
All right, guys, I'm gonna stop recording. So we will see you guys next time. Okay.
All right.
Thanks for running.
Everybody for watching.
Playing the rest of this out.
All right. Thanks.
All right.
All right.
Bye.